Welcome, everybody, to another rendition of Delete Laws. How is everybody doing? Can you do me a favor? Can you just real fast hit the like button? Just hit the like button real fast for me, just real quick. We're going to jump into this video that the civil rights lawyer brought to us, and we're going to check this bad chicken out. Can you guys do me another little favor, though? Can you type down in the comment section OTVO? Overturn Terry versus Ohio. Can everybody type that down in the comment section for me, pretty please? You guys are going to be, you're in for a big treat today. I got a special guest coming in 55 minutes. I got a special guest coming in. Everybody hit that like button. Did everybody hit the like button? It really matters for some reason. I don't know why, but it does. OTVO. Overturn Terry versus Ohio. Put it down in the comment section if you would, please. So I'm not sure if this was the original video, but I wanted to actually see the original video, and I didn't see it down here in the comment section. So we'll have to listen to a little bit of the commentary here from the civil rights lawyer and see what he has to say about this particular thing. Let's jump right into it.
Welcome back to the Civil Rights Lawyer channel. This dash cam video shows a traffic stop that occurred in Arkansas, and the police officer asks for the identification of the passenger in the vehicle, and then the passenger ends up jumping out of the car and running away through a field.
How y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. You got a driver's license with you?
I have my ID. I do not have my driver's license.
Okay. Reason I stopped you, the tags are expired on the
Yes,
car.
sir, I know. I do have insurance.
Where y'all heading to today?
The store here?
Oh, the store?
Yeah.
He got ID with him? You got ID? Do you have a driver's license at all? What's your name?
David Roberts.
David Roberts?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll be right back. Hey, Mr. Roberts?
Yes, sir.
Come back here with me for a second. And Miss Curtis, thank you for telling me who you are this time. Last time you didn't.
Oh, that was...
I mean, it's so frustrating to watch this and hear this guy tell the cop his name and answer any questions when pretty much every day I teach that you should never answer these guys' questions.
you.
That was me. This is a citation for driving on a suspended license, okay?
Yes, I'm paying.
Did you see that?
And Miss Curtis,
So you see the door to the right open up right there?
tell me who you are this time. Last time
And now
you didn't.
this guy probably hasn't done a run like this in so long.
Oh, that was you?
That was me. This is a citation for driving on a suspended license, okay?
Yes, I'm paying on that last one.
Okay.
It's an endless cycle. Take your license, fee you, take your money, jail you, keep your license away from you longer. The driver's license scam is very in-depth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just sit tight right here. Why is he running? He doesn't even have a warrant. Hey, Curtis! Or what's his name again? Roberts, you're good, bud. No warrant, Roberts. Oh, jeez.
No, that's not from Reno 911. That's actually real. But seriously, though, can the police, as part of a routine traffic stop, order drivers under penalty of arrest to provide their identification or other identifying information? The answer is actually extremely complicated, unfortunately. But first, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, Ridge Wallet. No, you like wallet for houses and because Arkansas, I believe, is Arkansas State Police. I believe it was for a dead registration tag on the vehicle. And the police officer, it appears as a matter of his routine, asks for the identification.
Let me just say something real fast to everybody here. You guys will never see me do that. You'll never see me pause the film to give a promotional consideration for this person or that person, for this product or for that product. Y'all will never see me do that. I won't ever do it. I'll never take money from some sponsor to promote their product. I'm just not into it. I'm not into it at all. Did everybody hit the like button? Did everybody hit the like button? You know, YouTube has me so shadow banned. So I went downtown today and I got sweatshirts. So I'm going to have sweatshirts in the next week or so. and I'm looking forward to that. I just want to jump in real quick and say that.
Of the passenger. The passenger, apparently believing he has a warrant or something, takes off and runs through the field, but he was wrong and he didn't have a warrant. And the cop is like, "Hey, Robert, come back. You don't have a warrant."
He's good to
So if he's good to go, then you figure that the cop would leave the man alone from there. That if he's good to go, then there's no reason to chase him. There's no reason to chase after this guy, right? He's good to go. He has no warrants.
go. Mark, so I've got one running on foot.
I thought he was good to go. He has no warrants, so he can run off all he wants. So not only is the guy not good, this cop is willing to drive through this beautifully manicured green lawn with his police cruiser to chase him down. Whose lawn is that? He was only 20 feet away from the woods. He was just 20 feet away.
Dude, you just messed up, dude. I'm sorry. You just messed up.
You said he was good to go, that he didn't have any warrants.
You know what I was going to do? Look at me. No, I want you to look at me. You know what I was going to do? I was going to have you drive her car. Because you got a valid license, bro. No, I don't. Yes, you do. Are you not David Roberts?
Yes, I am, but I ain't got a driver's license.
Yeah, you do.
Man, please.
Don't move for me.
Come on. Dude,
all I was going to have you do
okay, I'm sorry.
was drive her car. Now you're going to jail for fleeing.
Please.
But I thought that he was good to go. I thought he was good to go. Why is he going to jail for fleeing? He ran away because he was scared. I just don't understand what's going on here.
Man, come on.
Don't you please me, bro.
Dude.
No, sir.
Come on.
I was about to cut you all loose, man.
I'm sorry, dude.
I don't care. Give me your hand. I'm about to knock you out, bro.
No, huh?
I will knock you the hell out. Quit.
God damn.
So not only is he going to put him in torture cuffs and take him to jail, he's going to knock him out when he originally said, "You're good." Which is it?
"21 Clarksville. I'm 1015 if you can hear me.
Man, please.
Nah. Drop it. Bet that's meth, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
How stupid, dude. How stupid. Dude, I was going to let you drive the car. Why would you do that? Because of your warrant out of Russellville?
Yeah.
Did you hear me hollering at you when you were running around the building?
No, sir, I didn't.
I said, "Robert, stop. I'm not taking you in for your warrant." You kept running like 2 miles an hour. I could have just walked and caught you.
That's stupid.
It was stupid.
I'm sorry, man.
It was stupid. You have a valid license. You were about to drive that car away.
I don't see how I have a valid driver's license.
I don't see how you do either. You got 2 warrants, but you're valid. So I was going to have you drive the car. I'm serious.
I'm sorry. I am.
Now you're going to jail, and I didn't even check on your Polk County warrant. You're in extradition on that. I didn't even check on it. You know why? Because I get off at 4 o'clock. I want to go home.
Will you please?
No, I please won't. Today's my Friday.
Yeah.
I'm off work tomorrow. I get off in 30 minutes. I was trying to go to the house, all right? I was writing her a ticket, going to let you drive the car so I can go home. How ridiculous.
I know, and I'm sorry.
Gosh dang. All the damn paperwork I got to do now.
No, you could undo these cuts and I'll walk. I promise I won't fucking never. That's the first time I've ever run.
No, you going to learn today, son.
Well, I already know.
You going to learn.
So I guess he did have a warrant or two.
So I want to show you guys some case law here on this because, as you guys know, I got Constitutional Law Scholar coming up. I've been doing a ton of research. So this case goes back to 2000. I believe the case is decided in the year 2000. Yep, I'm right. January 12th of 2000. So can the cops grab you and arrest you if you run from them? So, and this is Illinois versus Wardlow. If you guys are not familiar with the case, this is from the year 2000. In the year 2000, anybody remember that? Sam Wardlow was holding an opaque bag, inexplicably fled an area of Chicago known for heavy narcotic trafficking after noticing police officers in the area. When the officers caught up with him on the street, one stopped him and conducted a protective pat-down search for weapons because, in his experience, there were usually weapons in the vicinity of narcotics transactions. The officer arrested Wardlow after discovering that he was carrying a handgun. In a trial motion to suppress the gun, Wardlow claimed that in order to stop an individual short of actually arresting the person, police first had to point to specific reasonable inference, specific reasonable articulable suspicion, why the stop was necessary. The Illinois trial court denied the motion, finding that the gun was recovered during a lawful stop and frisk. Once again, Terry versus Ohio, and once again, Terry versus Ohio. Wardlow was convicted of unlawful use of a weapon by a felon. In reversing, the Illinois appellate court found that the officer did not have reasonable suspicion to make the stop. So there's not even enough suspicion for a Terry stop. The Illinois Supreme Court affirmed, determining that the sudden flight in a high crime area does not create a reasonable suspicion justifying a stop because flight may simply be an exercise of the right to go on one's way. So, of course, it gets remanded certiorari up to the Supreme Court. And can you believe it? Take a look. The conservative Supreme Court personnel once again strip us of our liberty, strip us of freedom. The constitutional question: is a person's sudden and unprovoked flight from an identifiable police officer patrolling a high crime area sufficiently suspicious to justify the officer's stop of that person? Yes, it is. There's no reasonable articulable suspicion. There's no probable cause, but simply fleeing away from jackboot thug pigs. Well, let's read the decision. Once again, notice who does this to us. It's the conservatives. The conservative Supreme Court personnel screw us every time. These people actually voted for freedom on the left over here. Sandra Day O'Connor was a conservative liberal. A liberal conservative. She always walked the line. Kennedy is you never know what you're going to get out of him. Rehnquist, total piece of shit. Scalia, total piece of shit. Thomas, too stupid to make it through college. I mean, really, he's a stupid person. I'm just telling you. So once again, let me just get the question. Is a person's sudden unprovoked flight justified that the officer stopped that person? Yes, he can stop him. In an opinion delivered by Chief Justice William Rehnquist, who, by the way, in his 2010 book was still citing whitewashed history. He wrote a book in 2010. It's full of whitewashed history. It's crazy. Delivered by Rehnquist, the court held 5-4 that police officers do not violate the Fourth Amendment when they stopped Wardlow because the officer was justified in suspecting that the accused was involved in criminal activity, and therefore, in investigating further, Chief Rehnquist wrote for the majority, nervous, evasive behavior is a pertinent factor in determining reasonable suspicion. What? Nervous, evasive behavior is a pertinent factor in determining reasonable suspicion to justify a stop? Rehnquist noted that the flight is the consummate act of evasion. Stevens, joined by 3 other justices, concurred in avoiding a per se rule, but dissented from the majority holding. Stevens joined the other 3 justices. Stevens on the far left over here. I just wanted to show you guys the exact holding that when I say black robe tyrants, you're looking at it right there. The police are justified in doing anything. Doesn't matter what they do, it's justified.
Pennsylvania versus Mims. In line with the court generally has expanded the authority of police officers over drivers and passengers during routine traffic stops. For instance, the Supreme Court has held that police officers may inquire into matters unrelated to the stop, as the officer did here, asking where they were going. but they can only do this so long as the inquiry does not unreasonably extend the stop. The court has also authorized officers to order both drivers and passengers to exit the vehicle, even without a particularized safety concern. That's Pennsylvania versus Mims. In line with this authority, all federal circuit courts to address this issue have concluded that police officers may request a passenger's identification during a traffic stop and run a warrants check, even without an independent reasonable suspicion basis to do so, so long as they don't unreasonably extend the duration of the stop. You can look at the Fernandez case and the United States versus Henderson from the First Circuit.
Fernandez versus California.
2006. And there are a bunch of others. I'll post some sites at the blog post linked below. But what about that one Ninth Circuit case from 2019, you might ask? Or what about that one other case or that one YouTube video I watched? Listen carefully to what I said. So long as they don't extend the duration of the stop. That is the key. The question in those cases and some other cases is whether police officers can then extend that stop, extend the duration of the stop in order to get or to force the passenger to comply with identifying them.
So let me jump in real quick here, because as much as I love Brian's channel, the guy's a really good at what he does. There's a glaring problem here that we're not addressing. And that is that we have appointed 9 people in a government position for life. And that has to change. That has to fundamentally change. We cannot have 9 people put a 1 in the chat if you agree. Nobody should be appointed to any government position for life, especially the people who are supposed to be in charge of our civil liberties. There's no recourse. We would have voted out Scalia. We would have voted out Thomas. We would have voted out Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We would have voted out David Souter. We would have voted out Rehnquist. We would have voted out Warren Burger. We would have voted out Earl Warren. We would have voted these people out. And because there's no way to get rid of them, there's not a way to get rid of them. You have to impeach them. And it's impossible to do. It's never been done, ever. So what's the glaring problem? That we have 9 appointed people who are in charge of our civil liberties. Federalist number 3, John Jay said what? If we appoint the right men in the right places. Well, what do you mean by that, Mr. Jay, one of our founding fathers? What do you mean, John Jay? Well, we know what he means. If you appoint the right people in the right places, you will collude power to the top for the very few. And that's the problem. The Supreme Court needs to be elected with 10-year cycles. Every 10 years, a new person and we should be able to recall that person simply. It shouldn't be an act of God to get rid of one of these Supreme Court personnel like John Roberts. John Roberts has voted against your interest and against my interest. What do you know about Amy Barrett Coney? What do you know about her? Do you have anything in common with Amy Barrett Coney? Nothing. You and I have nothing in common with these people. Absolutely nothing. You didn't go to the same schools. You don't have the same privilege. You don't have the same connections. She doesn't see our rights the same way that you and I see them. She has no idea what a police state, prison state, death state is because she's never been subjected to it ever. Never. She's lived a privileged life her whole little life. And they pick these people in college. They pick these people out of college.
Themselves. That's why this is so tricky. The question is, what can police officers do just during a routine traffic stop with no particularized suspicion on the passenger of why they need their ID? So this is a really tricky and complicated topic. Several state courts have also...
Okay, what do you do if you're the person in the car and you're the non-driver? You pull out your Fifth Amendment cop card. When the cop says, give me ID, you got this card for this moment. For when the cop asks you for ID, you're not driving the car, so you don't have to give ID. There's no probable cause. There's not even reasonable articulable suspicion. There's nothing. You got this card so that you could, cop says, hey, can I get some ID? And you say, can I grab it out of my wallet real quick? Thank you. You reach in the back, you pull it out, and you say, here's my ID. It's number 4 on the Fifth Amendment cop card. And it says right here, if you demand ID, I plead the Fifth Amendment. I identify as good citizen. No ID is required. Hibble versus Nevada in the Navy is the law, the 2004 case. Even with reasonable articulable suspicion, citizen must state how they ID. You do not give your ID without probable cause. The whole reason you have this card in your pocket, whether you bought it from me or you got one off my website and laminated it, this is the whole reason you have the card. This is every reason, twice on Sunday, 3 times on Monday, 5 times on Tuesday. You have this card in your wallet for this one moment. So when the cop says, hey, what's your name? Can I get some ID? You say, sure. Can I get my card for you? I don't want to reach. Go ahead, get your card. I reach in my wallet, I pull it out, and I say, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. I don't got to give you ID without probable cause. That's the reason why you got the card in your pocket. I'll give you the card for free if you get anything from my website. You got to purchase something. Go to deletelaws.com. The trifold should have been in that woman's car. She should have invoked her Fifth Amendment right immediately. Immediately. There should have been no delay in her saying, how you doing, officer? I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. She didn't do that. And she ended up totally screwed up and backwards.
Also reached similar conclusions, grounding their decisions in generalized concerns for officer safety. For instance, you can look at Georgia, Indiana.
So go back, and I'm going to go back 15, 20 seconds here so you can listen to Brian. This man went to law school. I got nothing but respect and admiration for this guy. He's a freedom fighter.
The stop. That is the key. Long as
so here's where he starts his explanation. I want you guys to listen to this very carefully.
That one YouTube video I watched. Listen carefully to what I said.
Listen carefully to what he said.
So long as they don't extend the duration of the stop.
That's Rodriguez versus United States, 2015.
Is the key. The question in those cases and some other cases is whether police officers can then extend the duration of the stop in order to get or to force the passenger to comply with identifying themselves. That's one.
You do not have to identify without probable cause, or even if you have reasonable articulable suspicion, you only have to state how you ID, which is you identify as a good citizen, or you identify as running deer. However you want to say you identify, they have to accept it. So they have a way to identify you.
Why this is so tricky. The question is, what can police officers do just during a routine traffic stop with no particularized suspicion on the passenger of why they need their ID?
So here it is. This is it. Listen carefully. This is why you have the Fifth Amendment cop card in your pocket.
This is a really tricky and complicated topic. Several state courts have also reached similar conclusions.
Okay, he's talking about state courts that have mandatory stop and ID laws. There's no such thing as stop and ID law. It's not correct. It is false on its face. It's not true. However, in the states that call themselves stop and ID states, if the cop has reasonable articulable suspicion, you have to say, I identify as good citizen. It's right here. It's a step-by-step tutorial. The cop demands ID, says he has reasonable articulable suspicion. While filming, what you do is in the yellow. While filming, you say, I plead the Fifth Amendment. I identify as good citizen. No ID is required. Hibble versus Nevada, the 2004 case that he's referencing without saying it, says that in stop and ID states, with reasonable articulable suspicion, citizen must state how they identify, not give ID without probable cause. And in the yellow, what does it say? I plead the Fifth Amendment. I identify as good citizen. You followed all the statutes, codes, ordinances. You've done everything you're supposed to do by law. That jackboot thug pig may put you in torture cuffs. He may put you in the back of his cop car trying to get you to give ID. Unless you go down to the jail, you don't give ID. It's that simple. And thanks, Brian, for pointing out these facts.
Grounding their decisions in generalized concerns for officer safety.
They ground their decisions in generalized concerns for officer safety. That is not what the 9 appointed monarchs are supposed to do. They're supposed to defend our civil liberties.
For instance, you can look at Georgia, Indiana, Utah.
Those are all stop and ID states.
Or for the need to create a record of witnesses to the traffic stop, you can look at Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, I believe, is a stop and ID state.
Or states have allowed this.
South Carolina, I believe, is as well.
To determine that the request is simply part of and did not unreasonably extend the investigation of the traffic stop and does not constitute a separate Fourth Amendment event. You can look at Arizona, Delaware, Colorado, Illinois, Nevada, Nebraska, Iowa.
Those are all stop and ID states.
Other state courts, however, have concluded that police officers are prohibited from requesting identification from passengers during a traffic stop without reasonable suspicion of wrongdoing or some other case-specific justification beyond general officer safety concerns. You can look at California, Massachusetts, Minneapolis.
These are not stop and ID states. He's literally breaking down which states are stop and ID states and which states are not.
New Mexico, Oregon, and
none of those are stop and ID states, so you don't have to even identify as good citizen.
Washington. There's also a really good case out of Alaska. So, unfortunately,
that's going to be Nivens versus Bartlett, 2019.
The answer is it's complicated. It depends where you are in the country. It depends on the particular facts. Is this just a routine traffic stop, or is there some particular officer safety concern that is particular to this passenger? Or
okay, so let's jump into it a little bit more because I want you guys to really understand. This is the 2004 case of Hibble versus 6th District Court of Nevada, Humboldt County. So this, once again, is one of the Rehnquist decisions. He's a real piece of shit, a giant piece of shit. Okay, so facts of the case. Larry Hibble was arrested and convicted in Nevada State Court for failing to identify himself to a cop who was investigating an assault. Nevada and many other states has a law requiring a person to tell an officer his name if asked. Hibble challenged the conviction, claiming it violated his Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate himself and his Fourth Amendment right to be free from unreasonable searches. The state intermediate court and Supreme Court rejected his argument in affirming the conviction. It gets pushed up to the Supreme Court. What do you think it's going to be? There it is again, folks. There it is again. The 5 conservatives who screw us every time. Every time it's a conservative Supreme Court that screws us over the people. So here's the constitutional question. Did Hibble's arrest and conviction for not telling a cop his name violate his Fifth Amendment right not to incriminate himself and his Fourth Amendment right to be free of unreasonable search? No, it did not. In a 5-4 conservative decision, opinion written by Justice Anthony Kennedy, who is a gigantic piece of shit. The court ruled that the search did not violate the Fourth Amendment because it was based on reasonable suspicion. The police officer was investigating the assault and Hibble was nearby and involved only in a minimally intrusive question, his name. But this is an infringement on your Fifth Amendment right. What if giving your name will trigger the cop? How do you know? It also did not violate the Fifth Amendment because Hibble never argued that telling the officer's name would actually incriminate him in any kind of crime. Justice Kennedy wrote, "While we recognize petitioner's strong belief that he should not have to disclose his identity, the Fifth Amendment does not override the Nevada's legislature's judgment to the contrary, absent a reasonable belief that the disclosure would tend to incriminate him." So what exactly does that mean? What specifically does that mean? Specifically, detail-oriented. What that means is that if the cop walks up to you and says passenger or walker or on the bus, you're not driving. If you're driving, you almost always have to give ID. I can give you 10 Supreme Court cases. However, we're going to go over one of those today, which is called Hendrick versus State of Maryland. I'm going to actually read the entire holding for you today. You're going to find out exactly why the driver's license scam exists. It's a total scam. I'm going to read the 1915 case for you. However, in this case, Hibble versus Nevada, specifically what this means is that if the cop says, hey, there was an assault over here, I believe you could have been involved, and you say, I plead the Fifth Amendment, he says, I need to get your name because I have reasonable articulable suspicion. It's right there. You show him the card. Hibble versus Nevada with Raz, citizen must state how they ID. I don't got to give you ID. You can call me Mr. Good Citizen. You can call me Delete Laws. You can call me anything you want. Just don't call me late for dinner. Okay? So you have to have the literature on you, and you have to wield your phone like a ninja warrior, because if everything's not on camera, if you haven't gone back to step one where you're filming, where you say, I invoke my First Amendment right, why do you think right here when it says, on number one, when you cite the cop and the cop says, hey, I got some questions for you, you state out loud, I invoke my First Amendment right? Because when you invoke your First Amendment right, you're invoking your right to speech and you're invoking your right to be press. Now, any sort of interference with my camera constitutes that we go around your qualified immunity, because I stated out loud when we started this, I invoke my First Amendment right. I didn't say which of my freedoms I'm invoking. I said I invoke my First Amendment right. That's why I have it in chronological order for you. Step two, cop approaches and says, any words to you at all? I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. I mean, Brian is showing you guys. I mean, he's laying it out. This guy, the
Pennsylvania versus Mims.
The civil rights lawyer is laying this out for all of us. This is why I created this Fifth Amendment cop card, because a lawyer as good as Brian is a lawyer, as smart as he is, as good as videos as he makes. Forgive me, I only have a couple people who can call through, and my mother is one of them. So I think there's been a death in the family today. I'm pretty sure that my uncle-in-law died. I'm pretty sure that happened. That's why my mom's still calling me. So sorry about that interruption. But with that being said, this is the reason I created this, because I've seen so many thousands and thousands of videos of people, and they get in the situation, they don't know what to do. Do I have to give him ID? Tell him he's going to take me to jail if I don't ID. Failure to ID, I'm going to take you to jail. Well, he might take you to jail. But if you have everything on camera, like the ninja that you are, and you say, I invoke my First Amendment right to be pressed, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, and then you show him the card, and you show the card to the camera, and then the cop says, I need to see your ID, and you say, officer, even if you have reasonable articulable suspicion, in the yellow, I plead the Fifth Amendment, and I'm going to identify myself to you as good citizen, sir. No IDs required. If you'd like to look up the law, sir, it's in your favorite color of navy blue. It's right there. Hibble versus Nevada. Even if you have RAS, citizen must state how they ID. Do not give ID without probable cause. It's right there. It's right there. Now from there, you shut the front door. If he says, turn around, put your hands behind your back, you're under arrest for failure ID, okay. He might put you in the car, take your phone out of your hand. He just stopped you from being pressed illegally because there was no probable cause to take your phone out of your hand. He's going on a hunch. He's guessing that you've done something illegal. If there was probable cause to arrest you, he wouldn't say, I'm going to arrest you for failing to ID. He would say, I'm going to arrest you for breaking into that place, or for assault, or I'm going to arrest you for battery, or I'm going to arrest you for jaywalking, or I'm going to arrest you for crossing the light on the red when it's supposed to be green. This is the key. Having the literature on you, that's the key right there. I mean, Brian is laying it out. I mean, he's sitting here telling you, this guy's a lawyer. He's a good lawyer, super popular on the internet. You've heard of him. He's laying it out.
The matters unrelated to the stop, as the officer did here, asking where they were going. But they can only do this so long as the inquiry does not unreasonably extend the stop. The court has also authorized officers to order both drivers and passengers to exit the vehicle, even without a particularized safety concern. That's Pennsylvania versus Mims. In line with this authority, all federal circuit courts to address this issue have concluded that police officers may request a passenger's identification during a traffic stop and run a warrants check, even without an independent reasonable suspicion basis to do so, so long as they don't unreasonably extend the duration of the stop. You can look at the Fernandez case and United States versus Henderson from the First Circuit, 2006. And there are a bunch of others. I'll post some sites at the blog post linked below.
I'm sorry, what did he just say? Let me go back here and listen to this.
Fernandez case and United States versus Henderson.
United States versus Henderson.
From the First Circuit, 2006. And there are a bunch of others. I'll post some sites at the blog post linked below. But what about that one Ninth Circuit case from 2019, you might ask? Or what about that one other case, or that one YouTube video I watched?
Okay, so let me just explain that further. Okay. This is why our system is completely backwards and wrong. The appointed monarchs, the elitists that you have nothing in common with, you don't know any of them, they can say this is the appropriate case law for that. And the person arguing for the petitioner or the plaintiff can say, oh, no, Your Honor, I'm citing Hibble versus Nevada 2004. And he says, that's the wrong application of law. It's going to be this case. And you go, wait a minute, though. I've been reading Supreme Court cases and law and constitutional law for 2-3 decades now. Hibble versus Nevada is applicable for this case, Your Honor. And the judge says to you, no, we're not using Hibble. We're using the Nevada state legislature's law. And you say, what are you talking about? It's Hibble. And the Supreme Court justice says, no, it's not. What's your argument? He's going to say you're using the wrong case precedent. It's not applicable. He'll even explain to you the reason why this other case is more applicable. You can find a holding to go either way on almost any case there is. I mean, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you that's what's going on in this country right now.
Listen carefully to what I said. So long as they don't extend the duration of the stop. That is the key. The question in those cases and some other cases is whether police officers can then extend that stop, extend the duration of the stop in order to get or to force the passenger to comply with identifying themselves. That's why this is so tricky. The question is, what can police officers do just during a routine traffic stop with no particularized suspicion on the passenger of why they need their ID? So this is a really tricky and complicated topic. Several state courts have also reached similar conclusions, grounding their decisions in generalized concerns for officer safety. For instance, you can look at Georgia, Indiana, Utah, or for the need to create a record of witnesses to the traffic stop. You can look at Wisconsin, or states have allowed this to determine that the request is simply part of and did not unreasonably extend the investigation of the traffic stop and does not constitute a separate Fourth Amendment event. You can look at Arizona, Delaware, Colorado, Illinois, Nevada, Nebraska, Iowa. Other state courts, however, have concluded that police officers are prohibited from requesting identification from passengers during a traffic stop without reasonable suspicion of wrongdoing or some other case-specific justification beyond general officer safety concerns. You can look at California, Massachusetts, Minneapolis, New Mexico, Oregon, and Washington. There's also a really good case out of Alaska. So unfortunately, the answer is it's complicated. It depends where you are in the country. It depends on the particular facts. Is this just a routine traffic stop, or is there some particular officer safety?
There's some particular thing here. Here is a list of the stop and identify states that he just went over. The difference between you having to ID and not having to ID depends on if you're in North Dakota, Wisconsin, Colorado. You remember he just listed those cases. Louisiana, Utah, he listed that case. Kansas, Delaware, Alabama, Missouri, Rhode Island, Ohio, Indiana, Georgia, Nevada, Nebraska. These are all stop and ID states. Brian is literally listing off the stop and ID states. List all non-stop and ID states. California. Here's a better list right here, so it's more in a straight line, so we can just look at it. So stop and ID states. So in these states, Hibble versus Nevada is relevant Supreme Court case law. In Alabama, you have to say, I identify as good citizen. You don't have to in Alaska. You do in Arizona. You have to say how you identify in Arkansas, but not in California. You have to say how you identify in Colorado, but not in Connecticut. Do you see? Jose, can you see by the dawn's early light? And so you can pretty much just look up where you live and understand that where you live, if it's a stop and ID state, if the cop has reasonable articulable suspicion, then you have to say what's in the yellow, which, by the way, I put it in the yellow for everybody. In whether you're in Alaska, California, Arizona, Utah, Connecticut, Rhode Island, doesn't matter where you are. I made the card universal for stop and ID states or not stop and ID states. I give this card away for free if you guys order anything from my website during the live stream. I want to give you the card. I would like to give it to everybody for free and just send it off to everybody, but I can't do that. I wish I could. I wish that I could. What's going on? Dan Lance, what is going on? How are you? Good to see everybody. Greg, I see V Boyer in here. V Boyer, what's going on? Scrubzilla's in here too. What's going on, everybody? So now I want to go over something else with you real quick here, because a lot of people ask me why you have to have a driver's license. Well, could you believe it? It's the Supreme Court again. The Supreme Court, the nine unelected black robe tyrants who completely and utterly just make the decisions for us. In the 1915 case of Hendrick versus Maryland. Is anybody familiar with this case? Have you ever heard of this case before? I hope that you have, because this gives extraordinary detail. Mr. Justice McReynolds delivered the opinion of the court. Plaintiff in error was tried before a justice of the peace, Prince George County, Maryland, upon a charge of violating the motor vehicle law. A written motion to quash the warrant because of the conflict between the statute and the Constitution of the United States was denied. Let me read that again to you. A written motion to quash the warrant because he violated a motor vehicle law. So they wrote a motion to quash the warrant because the statute that you have to have a motor vehicle law and the Constitution of the United States was denied. He was found guilty and fined. Thereupon, the appeal was taken to the circuit court, the highest level in the state having jurisdiction, where the cause stood for trial de novo upon the original papers. So what trial de novo means is that the Supreme Court will look at the facts of the case completely brand new. If it's not de novo, then they look at the facts that have already been presented. You see the difference? Is it de novo or not de novo? There's a recent case. Let me finish this one. I'll finish this one, then we'll go into the recent case of what determines de novo or not de novo. Thereupon, appeal was taken to the circuit court, the highest state having jurisdiction, where the cause stood for the trial de novo upon the original papers. It was there submitted for determination by the court upon an agreed statement of facts grievously verbose, but in substance as follows. So look, by the court upon an agreed statement of facts grievously verbose. In other words, the facts were grossly exaggerated or unsubstantiated. The cause of the original brought July 27, 1910, before a justice of the peace in Prince George County by the state against John T. Hendrick for violating 133 of the motor vehicle law effective July 1st, 1910. He is and then was a citizen of the United States and commemorate. In the District of Columbia, on the day that he left his office in Washington in his own automobile and drove into Prince George County, and while temporarily there was arrested on the charge of operating it upon the highway without having procured the certificate of registration required by 133 of the motor vehicle law. So the statute he violated was 133 of the motor vehicle law. He was brought before a justice of the peace and fined $15 after having been found guilty of the charge set out in a warrant duly issued, a motion to quash having been denied, whereupon he filed his appeal. At the time and place aforesaid, he had not procured the certificate of registration for his automobile required by 133. Upon foregoing, the court shall determine that the questions and differences between the parties and render judgment accordingly as their rights in law may appear in the same manner as if the facts aforesaid were proven upon the trial. Either party may appeal. The Maryland legislature, by act effective July 1st, 1910, prescribed a comprehensive scheme for licensing and regulating motor vehicles. So the prescribed comprehensive scheme for licensing and regulating motor vehicles violates your First Amendment right to travel. It's a violation of your constitutional rights. And here's what here's what the actual the governor shall appoint a commission of motor vehicles with power to designate assistants who shall secure enforcement of the statute before any motor vehicle is operated upon the highway. The owner shall make a statement to the commissioner and procure a certificate of registration. That's where it all comes from. That is where all of your driver's license scam nonsense comes from. It comes, of course, from the Supreme Court. Why wouldn't they? Why do they care? It doesn't affect them at all. They're not touched by any of the laws. They get away with. John Roberts famously said recently, I'm told when you get pulled over, you have to go through this, but he's never been pulled over. The man's never been pulled over ever. So if you want to know more, I'll keep reading here. So upon the highways, owner shall make a statement to the commissioner and procure a certificate of registration. Thereafter, it shall bear a numerated plate. The certificate and plate shall be evidence of authority for operating the machine during the current year. 133. Registration fees are fixed according to horsepower. $6 when 20 or less, 12 when 20 to 40, 18 when excess of 40. No person shall drive a motor vehicle upon the highway until he has obtained a cost of a $2 operator's license, subject to revocation for cause. There it is right there, folks. There it is. That's the reason why. That's the reason why we have the driver's license scam in the United States of America. There it is. You're looking at it. I'm going to go into my back end right now. If anybody ordered anything from me during this live stream, I'm going to send it to you. If for all the people who requested free stuff, now's your chance. Go to my website right now, deletelaws.com. Go to deletelaws.com right now and request your free trifold. I got, so many hundreds of emails and I'm just not going to reply to them. You guys have to be here during the live stream. Go to deletelaws.com, go to the inquiry form and then say, hey, Chille, I need a free trifold. And during the live stream, I will fill the orders of people who need free trifolds. That's what I'll do during this order, during this live stream. Oh, good to see you, April. How are you doing? Kinetic Customs and Racing. What's going on, my friend? How you doing over there? Our guy 936. What's going on? Scrubzilla. How is everybody? Did everybody hit the like button? Hit the like button. It's just right down here. Just real fast. Hit the like button. And then put down in the comment section, OTVO. Overturn Terry versus Ohio. Put it down in the comment section. Oh my God, we only have 8 minutes. 8 minutes till the special guest comes on. You guys are going to love this. You guys are going to love this special guest. He's going to answer so many of our questions. And I have a ton of questions for him. I'm super excited to talk to this gentleman today. Let me make sure that there it is. Yo. So he has not seen this yet. He said 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So we do have that. What's going on? Alarcia, how are you? Dar North, what is going on? Let me check orders and see if anybody wins a free cop card during this live stream. If you guys pick up anything from my website, you guys know how I do it. You get anything from my website during the live stream and I give you the Fifth Amendment cop card for free. And I've been mailing them off myself. So I guess just during this live stream, it's, how long have I been on here? I've been on here for 48 minutes. So 2 people so far. It is Daryl H, and James S. Daryl H and James S. I'm going to send you everything I sell for free on email, and I'm also going to put in the mail for you. James S. in League City, Texas. Took a screenshot of your address. I don't know how the delivery goes. Daryl H. in Washington, D.C., but I have it right there for you, and I'm going to be sending you everything that I sell for free in your email. You guys, listen, take advantage of the offer now. These are the absolute best Christmas presents you will ever give anybody, and you can get one for like $9 if you get a digital trifold. You guys, the digital trifold, I don't mail to you. You guys print that out yourself at home. But you want to go to deletelaws.com and get your trifold. You want to have a trifold in your car. You want to have a trifold in your car. You want to be able to invoke your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. And, if you get a trifold, whether you get the printed one or the one you print at home, I mailed this in the mail for you for free. I mean, so many people are in here. Yeah, but you got it. So Jamie got his. I mean, I don't wait. You guys, listen, I don't wait. You guys order anything from me, I mail these out to you right now. I mail them out as soon as this live stream is over. There is no delay. I was so disappointed in my shipping snafu that's finally coming to an end that I have the cards with me now. I got trifolds. I mail them out right now. No delay. I send you your Fifth Amendment cop card now without a delay. It has to be that way. Has to be that way. I mean, everybody's waiting on their card. You definitely want to get one of these for your friends and family for Christmas. These are the best stocking stuffer ever. People who can't stand cops as much as me, they're going to love this. They're going to love this. You understand that? If they really hate cops as much as I do, and I really loathe these bastards, I do. I'm sorry. I do. I don't like them. I don't like cops. I'm not sorry about it. I don't like them. They've earned my hate. They've earned the dislike I have for them. They've earned it. They're bad people. They're bad people. There's no way I could put anybody in torture cuffs. There's no way I would do that to anybody. Oh, you got him? Right on, Wyatt. Right on. Wyatt got his 5A cop card. Right on. Yeah, I send them off right away, y'all. There's no let me get my body situated properly here. I'm sitting kind of funny. Yeah, and Angie B, I'm sending your I got your email, Angie. Angie's, just so you guys know, I'm going to give Angie a set of 5A cop cards. She's already bought a couple things, and before I used to do it where it was like a winning thing where, the next 2 people who ordered anything from my website, I'd send you the free 5A cop card, but I want you to have it. I just need you to help me cover the cost, to be honest. And $9 barely does it, but it does it enough where I can ship them out. And that's what I'm doing. That is what I'm doing. Let me see if there's a way I can call this gentleman here. Are you coming? Okay. So we got about 4 minutes till the special guest gets here. About 4 minutes. Cool. You guys go to my website if you want free stuff. Let me open my email address just real quick while I'm here. So James, I'm sending you a bunch of free stuff. And then while we're at it here, I'm just going to go ahead and cover just real quick. I'll check my email in 1 second. I will check my, oh, Brian, this is great. This next guest is I've talked about this guy several times this past month or so, and I've been trying to get him on, and we've been playing phone tag back and forth. Have will not comply t-shirt on. I love hearing it. I love hearing it. So there's Hendrick versus Maryland. I want you guys to know what that case is about. And then I'm going to get into my favorite thing, Reddit.
What's wrong? I'm patting you down for weapons. Turn around, put your hands up. Turn around and just put your hands up.
Okay, so this cop has stopped this guy. So when can a cop put his hands on you? Can anybody answer that for me? Any of the Team DLZ faithful in here that know? When can a cop put his hands on you? When is a cop allowed to grab you? When is that? Can anybody tell me? Let me know. I'm going to read the comments here. When can a cop put his hands on you and grab you? When can that happen? There it is right there. And Shubhendu. So Shubhendu, do you know the reason why? Do you know the reason why? Jeff Hates Pigs got it. When he sees you. And why is that? Why is that? Good job, Shun. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Shun Hendu. I hope I'm saying that correct. That's right. That's right. You got it right there. That's right. Rip got it correct. So when a cop stops you, if that cop says, I'm afraid, I'm in fear for my life from this person, they can grab you, put their hands on you, pat you down, put you in torture cuffs, throw you on the ground, put you in the back of a caged car. When can they do that? The moment they see you. So when you hear people say, oh, he's going hands on, cops are allowed to go hands on with you whenever they want. For those of you people who support Republicans and Democrats, your boy Trump wants to institute nationwide stop and frisk. That's what he wants to do. And I'm not down with that. I'm not down with nationwide stop and frisk, so I'm voting for Bobby Kennedy because I want to change.
On your head for me real quick.
What's wrong?
I'm patting you down for weapons. Turn around, put your hands on top of
I
your
ain't got no weapon though.
head. Put your hands on top of your head.
I'm patting you down for weapons.
No.
No.
Put your hands on top of your head.
Oh,
Right
our
here.
guest
Perfect.
is here.
Thank you.
How exciting.
Keep your hands up on top of your head.
Our guest is
If
here.
you move
How
them again, I'll
exciting.
put you in handcuffs, okay? So we're on the same page. Keep them up on your head.
Because of Terry versus.
On my head. On my head.
Put your hands behind your back.
On my head. You on my head.
Yeah. Yes, but you keep them down.
I'm sorry. You don't ain't me.
So real quick, what has this guy done wrong? Nothing. What crime did he commit? None. Why is he being treated this way? Because of Terry versus Ohio. There's only a minute left in this.
behind your back.
And how come they can do this to you? Because of Terry versus Ohio. I want to make sure everybody knows that. Is this because of qualified immunity? No, it's not.
What y'all doing? Get your hand behind your back. What y'all doing?
Put your hand behind your back.
Come on, man.
He's reaching in his pocket. Stop reaching in your pocket.
They said he's reaching. Let's hope he doesn't get executed.
Stop. Stop.
Wow.
Man, come on,
Stop
man.
fighting, man.
Hey, come on.
Just stop. Get out of your pocket,
Come
bro.
on, man. Ain't in my pocket. Stop me.
I'm gonna get my gun. Get off.
I can't breathe, man. Okay. I can't breathe.
Give me your hand.
Get
this hand.
behind your back. I
This
can't
hand.
breathe. I can't breathe.
Open up his hand.
I can't.
He's got something in his hand in here.
It's in his jacket.
Put your hand behind your back. You're gonna get tased, bro.
For what? He's done nothing wrong. He's done nothing wrong. They just stopped him.
This is green.
Get your hand. Get your hand out.
Okay. Okay, it's out. Hey, man, I gotta throw it in.
There it is. Crack rock.
Hey, man. I don't do that shit. There's no crack rock. I don't do
Screw some
that.
church.
That is not mine.
So because of the crack rock, then that justifies everything. That justifies absolutely everything. Oh, it's so disgusting. Let's not wait. Let's bring Larry on. Larry, DUI guy. What is going on, man? How are you?
Good, man. Apparently, I am bleeding profusely from my face, so please.
Oh, you cut
excuse
yourself
that.
shaving?
Yeah, the other day, and now it's like bothering me. So please try to ignore that.
Oh, it's okay. Larry, how are you, man? Good to meet you.
Good. Likewise, man. Thanks for the invite. How you been?
I'm doing great. I've been watching your videos like crazy.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
I sat and binge watched all your videos, and I teach a lot of Supreme Court case law, a lot of constitutional standards laws and stuff like that. And I wanted to bring you on because so many people, I mean, you can ask anybody in here. I've been mentioning the DUI guy said this, the DUI guy said that, because once I get into somebody, I really just start watching all their videos and I want to hear everything that they have in their brain so I can learn more. So let's talk about you just for a second, Larry. Where are you from?
I live in Kentucky. This is where I practice law.
Okay.
That's where my office is set up. That's where I've been practicing the last 10 years. Yeah.
I wish I had known. I would have looked you up when I was up in the tri-state area, up in Ohio and West Virginia and Kentucky. And so did you primarily know when you were going to college that you wanted to focus on DUIs because you are called the DUI guy?
No, that came much later. College, I was a philosophy major. Then after college, I went to law school. In law school, initially I was going to do, I thought, after I changed my mind like 8 different times, I was going to do white collar crime. But I didn't know like how exclusive that club is, if you will. You really have to have a membership card. You can't just start practicing with I would have no client base. I would have nobody. So I had to go down a notch. And yeah, I've been doing criminal law for pretty much since the inception. And then you got to find a specialty. So I branded and the rest is history. Yeah.
So, we watch a lot of your video. I mean, I'm actually going to pull a few of your videos up right now so that people can see them and see exactly. Let me share the DUI guy's channel so everybody can see this. This is his channel. He's right here. Cool. Thanks. Let me see what you guys can see. All right. And so this is the DUI guy's channel. He's trying to reach a million. He's at 352,000. I'm going to drop his link down in the comments. You guys get over here and subscribe to Larry, the DUI guy.
Oh, thanks, man.
Oh, dude, of course. Anytime. People who are dropping knowledge. And if you really want to do what I did, you just go right here to shorts and you can just sit here and just click and just roll. I mean, I'll go to the popular ones so you guys can see the ones that kind of help identify him.
You must follow the law. The law says
Mr.
you must
Flores.
stay proceedings.
Okay, and they have. We're rolling to see if we get an answer. What would you
You
like? me
cannot
to-
roll the case. You don't have jurisdiction to roll the case. That's exactly what
so
I'm saying.
what are you asking me to do? You
I am
haven't asked me
asking
to
for
do
you-
anything.
For you to wait until the answer is received downstairs in the district clerk's office. They will distribute a copy of Chief Justice Minton's order to your honor and to my office. Once we each have a copy, we will know what to do. Do we have a special judge, or do you regain jurisdiction? You cannot hold it. My client, our experts, his police officers, to come to court every single day at 1 o'clock. It just doesn't work that way. The law is clear. You must follow the law.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
It's so weird to watch myself like do a court case in someone else's channel. But
Yeah.
thanks, man. I
Or the
appreciate
blood
it.
test at the hospital. It's not that hard.
I think Alan works for the government. It is actually not that simple, because if you comply with the government's request, you're making their lives easier, and the chances of convicting you of a crime you may be falsely or even rightfully accused of astronomically higher. I recommend you do not comply and you refuse the tests. It's a bad idea to give people the wrong advice, Alan. Be very careful, especially keyboard lawyers like this. I don't know if they work for the government, but giving your breath or blood voluntarily is a surefire way to get convicted.
If you have a question, comment below.
Just do the breathalyzer at the police station or the blood test at the
Find a good attorney? Yeah. Okay.
Are we just
And
going to be
how and
watching
where
my
do I find-
videos? Like-
No, I'll pop back over. So let's ask you about that, because I have an attorney here who practices law regularly. And so what I always teach people is when the cops pull them over, to invoke their Fifth Amendment right to remain silent immediately. What would you, is that good advice?
100%. 100%. I mean, look, the police, we're raised in the United States of America and in many other countries with the notion that the police are there to protect and to serve, right? Those are the magic words. That's the propaganda that they use. It's typical government bullshit, unfortunately. And it takes us, some of us, it takes us until forever. Some of us takes a few years. Some of us takes a few months, maybe. I don't know. It's hard. Everybody's on a different timeline. But you eventually start seeing, it's like the Wizard of Oz. You start seeing through the bullshit. You start like peeking behind the curtain. You start to realize, like, wait a minute. These police officers are not all that like they're cracked out to be. Like, they're undertrained, undervalued. They don't know the law. They don't know what they're doing. They are lacking in training severely. They're doing all sorts of things on the street that they should not be doing. And then you start to realize that, wait a minute, not only do they not know what they're doing, they do whatever the hell they want. And when you start realizing, like, hold on a second, not only do they do everything that they want, whatever they want out on the street, but they are also killing people and getting away with it. And you're like, oh my God. Like, once you start learning that, especially as a professional or just as an individual living on the planet, your whole reality is warped and you start to understand really what they are. And it's just a gang. It's a clan. It's a gang, whatever you want to call it, that is literally has the color of the government to back them up, and they can do whatever they want for the most part. And the Supreme Court, if you talk about the Supreme Court cases, your audience knows this United States Supreme Court will bend over backwards to protect their gangsters. And so, like at the end of the day, it only a question is of how long is it going to take you to wake up and realize who it is that you're dealing with. So that's the unfortunate reality. But, you'll meet a lot of people who will support and back up the police just because they don't know any better.
Well, you must have a fairly adversarial relationships. Are you in Louisville or a smaller city?
No, I'm in Louisville. Yeah.
Okay. So in Louisville, there's, anybody can look it up, go to YouTube, put Louisville police and corruption, and there are thousands of videos of the corruption in Louisville. This is where Breonna Taylor was killed, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Breonna Taylor was right here in Louisville. I learned something recently that I want to share. Actually, it's kind of interesting. You mentioned adversity or adversarial relationship. It's very possible. It's very doable, as a matter of fact, in my profession, to both be adversarial and yet at the same time approachable. Now, it took me a while to understand how to actually do that, how to not bite off the prosecutor's head as you're trying to bite off the prosecutor's head. like in between the lines. Like it takes a little bit of time. Same thing with police officers. I represent currently, literally, as we sit here right now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we resolved one. So 4. I have 4. It was 5 just a couple of weeks ago. Police officers that we currently represent. We have 4 police officers that we currently represent. And
DUIs, or can you tell us? Can you tell us if they were DUIs?
I mean, sure. It's generally, I can tell you, sure, they're DUIs. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to give you any specifics because that would breach attorney-client confidentiality.
But saying you represent 4 cops who have DUIs, no one
That's
has
it.
idea who they are.
Exactly. They don't know what city. They don't
Right.
know. They
Right.
might not even be in Kentucky. We represent people in California. I had a case in Alaska that just got resolved. That we resolved a case in Ohio. We resolved a case we fired the client from Tennessee. But anyway, I digress. The point is, the police officer I spoke with last week or the week before, and he said something very interesting. He said when he was a cop, so he was a police officer in, I think it was in down south somewhere in LaRue or Elizabethtown, Kentucky. He said that the police officers there, when they would arrest somebody, okay, and then they would find out, oh, who's the lawyer that they hired, and my name would come up. This is his words, not mine. When he said it, I almost like cracked up laughing. I did crack up laughing, actually. He said, when my name would come up, all the police officers would kind of gather and be like, oh, well, shit. Well, there goes that one, like that arrest is going to go down the drain. And I asked him, I was like, so what was did they just despise me? Did they hate me? And he's like, they would send me cases. I know the people. So I'm like, I know they're throwing my name out there. If anybody asks, like, hey, this is the guy, right? But so there's a mutual respect, but also an understanding of, oh boy, this is going to make my life miserable now. So they understand it. They understand it. But here's the problem. Lawyers like myself are so few and far in between. And police officers know that. So when they have another lawyer, let's say, on a different case, I mean, are they going to try harder when they go back on the street on their beat? Probably not. But it's just interesting that there is definitely an element of, that you would not expect in this adversarial profession, if you will,
of decency. There's like this kind of unwritten co-respect, I guess.
Yeah, it feels like it. Yeah, and I've always not always, but recently, I guess I should say, I felt it more and more. But the key is to just keep doing good work for your clients. I mean, that's really what it's all about. For talking about lawyers for a second,
right?
Like I said, you've heard the adage: 99% of lawyers make the rest of us look bad,
right?
So, and it's the same thing. And bad lawyering creates bad policing too. This is what people don't understand. When you have, let's say, if you had an armada, an army of lawyers who would hold police officers accountable in court at every step of the way, at every opportunity, there are counties I can go to where police officers literally have carte blanche because the attorneys have just all but given up there, in these smaller towns. They're like, I don't know what to do. And the officers can do whatever they want. The police force, I say officers, like the troopers, the deputies, the police officers, all branches of policing have this kind of carte blanche, this white card. I can do whatever I want because the prosecutor's got my back, and there is no defense attorney in town who is going to be doing anything about it, filing any motions or requesting any evidence or whatever.
Why is that, Larry? Why is that?
Money. Easy. Yeah. People just can't afford good representation. Lawyers don't get paid enough. They don't want to work. Or even if they do get paid enough, they don't know what they're doing sometimes. And they're just not used to getting paid. So
the lawyers are not used to getting paid. Is that what you said?
They don't know what it's like to get paid well. Some of them. Yeah, because they're kind of stuck in this little rut of I'm only able to do so many things, and I have to make sure like I hang on to them as dear life as possible or whatever. Clinging on to dear life, and that's unfortunate. But that creates, as a result, inadvertently, even more bad policing, because now again the police officers get this false sense of confidence, and they're like, well, I'm untouchable, I can do whatever I want. And then it becomes worse because psychologically they are now feeling more invincible. So now they go out on the street, and it's this underlying mentality, if you will, or this energy that permeates within an individual's mind, and it affects their day-to-day actions. And one day they're going to do something drastic. For instance, 2 years ago, I have the video posted just because it was a dismissal, but this is a case that was going to go to trial. Let me tell you the story, because this is absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific. It's one of these counties. I will not name it, but you can probably find it on the internet. So my client, here's the story. My client was driving. It's like one of those horror videos that you've been showing, right when I came on.
Yeah, it's always a nightmare for people.
Yeah. Oh my God, this one. So my client was driving. He lives up in northern Indiana, and he was driving from southern Alabama. He was there for a job, and he was driving home. So it's like a 14 or something hour drive. About halfway through, he's in Kentucky. More than halfway through, he's in Kentucky. This is how this guy is such a good citizen. His at the time girlfriend calls him. You know what he does? Who the fuck does this? By the way, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear.
You can
I'm
swear
sorry.
you want.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because like I swear on my channel all the time, but like, I don't know. All right. Anyway, this motherfucker pulls over to answer the phone call. Who does this? Okay.
Nobody.
He pulls over like he's a good Samaritan. He's a good citizen. He pulls over. He takes his girlfriend's call. He says, he's talking to her. And as he's talking to her, he's like, he looks in his rear view and he's like, there's a cop behind me. He just pulled up, turned his lights on. As he's parked on the side of the road, he's not even just parked on the side of the highway. He went above and beyond. Now, this is a little excessive. This is a little extreme. But, you got your fog line. He is over the fog line. Like, he's basically on the gravel next to the grass.
Right. He's off the road.
Which is very dangerous. There's like nails and like God knows what else in there. Never a good idea. But he's being like super extra safe. And he's driving a minivan. Now, you know what his crime is? You know what his mistake is? He has some empty Bud Light cans that are like weeks, if not months old on the floorboard. That's his real crime. That's his only crime. When I say crime, it's not even like, it's not punishable by law, but that's what the officer is about to see, right?
Right.
So the cop comes over. He has no body cam. His name is Trooper Thomas Zartorsky. I will tell you that. Well, let me rephrase that. Former Trooper Thomas Zartorsky. At the time, Trooper. It's another one of my scalps that I was able to claim. I have 4.5, I believe. There's a story about that half.
Way to go. I'd like to hear it.
But anyway, so the officer comes up to his window, and he's on the phone with his girl, and he says, like, I'm good, you can leave. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. And he's like, roll the window down. And I guess he starts peering in. He's got the flashlight. He sees the beer cans, probably the empty ones on the floorboard. That's my suspicion. I mean, I don't have proof because there's no video.
Right.
And he just keeps harassing my guy. He's like, come on, get out of the car, get out of the car, get out of the car. And he's like, honey, listen, I gotta go. This guy's harassing me. He won't leave me alone. I need to terminate the phone call with you so that I can turn around and turn the video on and start recording him. Okay.
Right.
That's exactly what he does. He starts recording former Trooper Thomas Zartorsky as the latter is asking him out of the vehicle. He gets out of the vehicle eventually, Or no, sorry, I take it back. They basically get into a back and forth. That's what it is. I'm sorry, it's been a couple years. They get into a back and forth, and eventually, my client says, like, okay, fine, I will. And as he starts opening the door, the trooper kind of helps him out,
Sure.
and basically like drags him out of the car. And it gets a little messy. It gets a little ugly. There's some back and forth that continues, but like he was charged with everything. There was like a slew. There was like 9 different charges. I'm not exaggerating. There was like 7 or 9 different charges. I think it was 9. I remember it was like, oh, I remember that case. Yeah, that's a. Oh, that's right. That's the same guy. That's the same guy. Yeah.
So,
once corrupted, always corrupted, right?
Sartorsky.
Okay. That's him. You found him. Yeah. This is a different case. But it's the same guy. Yeah. This is before mine. It was like a year before he got terminated.
Right.
But yeah, there was like, I think that story is like, they stole money from like a basement that they had a video camera. They just weren't ready for the video camera. That's all it was.
Right.
That's how we get them, video cameras, boys.
That's right. That's right.
Because they don't carry their own, so you got to carry it for them. Well, so my client is recording this whole interaction. Luckily, it was broken down into 2 pieces. Like the recording stopped and then started again. Why do I say that? As I'm sure you know, as I'm sure your audience has heard many times before, police officers like to go through phones and destroy evidence. Again, on first glance, it's like, what did he just say? Did he just say that the government destroys evidence? Yes. Like goes through your stuff? Are you serious? Yes. Yes, they do. They don't care. They absolutely have no qualms about it. They're worse than your ex-girlfriend that goes through your phone while you sleep. Trust me, because she's only interested in certain things. The government wants to make sure that you have nothing on them, which is so much worse.
Right.
So much worse.
That's right.
So Trooper Thomas Zartorsky, allegedly, again, I have no proof. Other than my client saying he made the recording. And for some reason, I tend to believe him a little bit more than the former trooper. But he ends up getting charged with like 9 different charges. And among them was resisting arrest, terroristic threatening, based on, I guess, some things he may have said to the cop. I don't know. Like open container, improper parking. That was my favorite, improper parking on the highway, which is that one we're going to win very easily on. But
right.
It's just funny to me because he was actually parked. I don't know. It might actually be improper parking when you go so far beyond the fog line, but I don't know.
Right.
And, DUI, of course, he was charged with everything under the sun. And the morning of trial, we show up to court, and this is the video that's on YouTube. And the prosecutor, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm there with my associate. I got my briefcase, my client's there. We're ready to go. And the prosecutor comes up and he says, "Mr. Foreman, can I talk to you for a minute?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Whatever. Let's have one little final powwow. You make me an offer that we can easily refuse, and then we go to trial. Let's go." And he comes up and he says, "I don't have an officer." I'm like, "Excuse me? What happened?" He says, "I don't know. I called Kentucky State Police, and they're telling me it's like a broken radio. Trooper Thomas Zartorsky is no longer with our department." Okay, where is he? Trooper Thomas Zartorsky is no longer with the department. And that's just over and over. They keep saying that same thing over and over. I'm like, okay, let's test this theory. So I talked to my case manager. She calls Kentucky State Police, exact same broken recording. Trooper Thomas Zartorsky is no longer with Kentucky State Police Department. Please move along. So just like, okay. We moved for the case to be dismissed. Judge grants it, and that's the end of it. So you just got to, and again, that case. Why specifically that case? This all reminded me of is that in that case, the police officer, the trooper, behaved in such a immoral fashion. This went beyond just hyperbole. This was actually immoral, the way that he behaved. I had a very, very nasty opening ready for him. Actually, I still remember it. I never got a chance to use it.
Well, go ahead, please. Let's hear it.
Well, I'm not going to go into it. It's been a while. Like I said, it's been like a couple of years, but
Sure.
But it was gonna be very, very aggressive and very nasty because of his behavior. And
Right.
I thought, like, you have to be careful in trials when to attack, because you don't want to lay it on too thick before the evidence comes in, and you also don't want to leave too many holes open to where your audience is going like, okay, what went wrong here? So there's like a delicate balance. In closing, you can let everything let loose. The evidence is already in. But anyway, the point is that case never even got off the ground because the trooper never gave us a chance to put him on the stand because he realized he fucked up.
Right.
That's my theory. Now the trial was like a year and a half after the incident or something like that, because the incident happened during COVID and the trial was in 2021, like June. So it was like 9 months, maybe. Excuse me. So I'll never forget. And again, this is what I think. This is what I think happened is the week before, because it was like Memorial Day, Labor Day, whichever one that holiday is in May, June. It was right after that holiday. And I think he went to talk to his chief. That's what I think happened on like the Friday before the weekend. And he was like, "Chief, I got to talk to you. I have this case next week and it's not a good one. I don't know what to do. I need your guidance." And he, after listening to the story, the chief was probably like, "All right, listen, buddy, we got two options. Number one, you're fired. Number two, you leave. Pick one." And he's like, "Oh shit, it's one of those, huh?"
Right.
And that was the end of it. So,
there's a whole rash of fake DUIs going around the country right now. We've seen lots of videos of young people being charged with DUI when they are not intoxicated, when they're not under the influence of any kind of chemical, not weed, not alcohol, nothing. They're just sober. And we're seeing that all over the country. Can you attribute that to them being willing to take these stupid human trick tests?
yes, it's also the fact that it's a cash cow for the government. So, and it's really easy. The difference between that I've noticed when I was traveling through Europe, the difference between American cops and European cops that I've seen in several different countries is that our police officers, much like the public, is very dinero centered. It's all centered about money. Everything is, sorry?
Yeah, money centered. Exactly correct.
And so the police officers, as soon as any combination, give them any excuse, right? Like my client on the phone, it's the combination car plus empty beer cans. That's all you need. And you're going to be charged with a DUI. That's basically all but a guarantee. You could be parked legally, engine off. Sometimes police officers will change the narrative. Engine was on. Or sometimes they'll say something like very clever, like, "Oh, engine was off, but I touched the hood. It was warm to the touch." Now, who was driving? Maybe my client owns the car and he's just sitting in the driver's seat. Somebody else drove it. He's the one fucked up. Like there's a myriad of scenarios but it doesn't matter to the police officer in the moment that they're there, and to you, because you're the one who's about to get arrested for something that you may or may not have done. One of my favorite phrases is, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. And there's a lot buried in that phrase, right? Because it's
There's
like,
a lot to unpack.
I did something, so aren't I like guilty? Like, well, only a jury can find you guilty. This is what people forget. Like, how do you represent guilty people? Like, I don't. I've never represented a guilty person in my life. I've represented people who may or may not have admitted to doing a few things that now the government has to prove, sure. But there's not a lawyer on the planet, unless you're doing appeals work, I suppose. You're representing like actually convicted people. Then you're representing guilty people, but that's just silly to say because nobody would say that. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, it's just one of those things that you learn to live with, I guess.
Well, can we do anything? So for me and the team DLZ, what we keep on seeing is people be charged with DUI, even if they're sitting in the car and it's running, or they're just sitting in a car. What kind of legislation can we push through that says you actually have to be operating in transit, the car moving, for you to be charged with the DUI? My original investor, Jeff fucking Lloyd, rich guy in West Hollywood, California, he has a Maybach, which is $250,000 car. And when he gets drunk and he gets blackout drunk, this is no secret about Jeff fucking Lloyd. He likes to get blackout drunk. And then when he leaves the bar, he wants to go sit in his car and just sleep it off until he wakes up, and then he can drive home. But he no longer gets in his car, because even being inside of his car, the back of his car, he can be charged with a DUI. What can we do to change this?
Well, you mentioned a very important word, legislature, because that's really where it all begins. The problem is, who is going to lobby the legislature, and how do you frame it in such a way to where you won't immediately be attacked as a drunk driver apologist, which I have actually been called several times during my lifetime. Right. For one reason or another, which I'm not. But when you associate yourself in that profession, sometimes you're going to get some thorns. That's just the nature of the beast. But the problem is exactly the legislature. As a matter of fact, like you mentioned, a lot of these laws, including Kentucky's, are written so loosely. I mean, our law literally says, in physical control, operating or in physical control of a motor vehicle. Now, what the hell is in physical control? Here's the secret. There's many different definitions, and every state has assigned a different one. For example, Pennsylvania and New York, I can tell you, have enacted that physical control, all it requires is for you to be basically in possession of your keys and somewhere in the vicinity of your vehicle, like maybe not even necessarily inside your vehicle, but they've determined physical control. The fact that you have physical keys which control the vehicle, I guess this is how they interpret it. I'm making this up. I don't know. But that's how some states, and I know for sure, well, they may have changed. This is a bit dated from when I was researching this. I don't really research.
So my keys in my pocket right now, my car out front, now means that if I'm sitting here smoking or drinking.
Well, that's a little, no. You have to be closer in proximity, I think. I'm pretty sure you have to be like practically touch, as long as your arm is like touching the car, like you might be arrested for DUI and convicted. Here's the important part, convicted, right? Even though you're not driving, and maybe you had no intent to drive, but whatever. Now the burden is on you. You never want the burden to be shifted onto you. You know what I mean? That's going to make your life very, very difficult.
Do not touch me.
Okay. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
What was that?
I was just kind of queuing something up because, we have the DUI guy here. So I wanted to kind of show a couple of things and kind of walk through them with you and be able to understand where these people are making their mistakes. This woman here, this is a DUI stop, and she starts off with, as you heard,
do not touch me.
Okay. That's a great way to start an interaction with a person who can kill you.
Right. Isn't that funny that that's how she starts off her fight?
If you touch me.
Oh.
Wow. So the cop's walking up to your car, Larry, and you know that you've had a drink or two, but you chose to drive because you know that you're not impaired. You've had a drink or two. Jeff fucking Lloyd, for example, he can drink a half a bottle of vodka and walk to the car crooked and drive perfect. So this woman, though, apparently she's had a drink or two and she thinks she can drive. So does that mean you're guilty because you've had a drink or two?
In the eyes of the police, you will be. But in court is where the real fight happens. Never fight your case on the street, folks. Always fight it in court.
Okay, so never. Let's see what she says here.
All right, can you put the car in park and turn it off, please?
So when the cops come up, Larry, I teach my flock of people that hello is for suckers. How you doing? Hello, officer. I don't say those things to cops. What do you think about that?
I mean, I'm not really sure.
Because if you've had a drink, if you say hello and you're,
I see what you're saying. I
If
mean, yeah. I mean, this goes into the original "don't talk to the police" thing. Sure, yeah.
okay, I just want to know what you thought.
Yeah, of course. I was just looking for a number.
Rounds up 3, 10, 12.
Yeah, she sounds a little slurry.
Yeah, and all this back and forth with the people who are there to arrest her, I just don't think that that's a very good thing. Invoke your Fifth Amendment right to remain silent and then not.
Well, hold on. You said arrest her. How do we jump from "how you doing tonight" to arrest? Did I miss something?
Well, so what I teach my flock of people is that when the cops pull you over, their goal is to arrest you, impound your car, take you to
Yes.
the dungeon, and steal your money. Is that too far off from your experience being an attorney?
No. That's pretty much the essential goal. You're not. I never thought of it that way, but like you just I'm 100% with you.
Yeah, I mean, for the people who come here all the time, this is something I've said 3 million times. When the cops pull you over, their goal is to arrest you, impound your car, take you to the dungeon, and steal your money. That's their whole goal. That's from A to Z what they're trying to do. And I don't think that Larry sees it much different. And he's in the field actually doing legal work.
It's really sad. That's like a really jaded way of looking at things. I never went that deep down the rabbit hole, but god damn it, man, that is so true.
How many times have you been arrested, bro?
Me?
Yeah.
No, never.
Never. You never
No.
had the torture cuffs put on.
Not in that sense. Only in a pleasurable sense.
But I'm just saying, a cop who's angry has never grabbed you, thrown you against a car, and then smacked the cuffs on as hard as they could.
No.
Oh, wow. Put a 1 in the chat if that's happened to you. Larry, I have hundreds and hundreds of pictures of people's wrists from where these torture cuffs mangle them. I mean, absolutely and completely. I'm happy to hear it's never happened to you.
I've seen it, man. I've seen it. I've seen the photos that my clients have sent me.
You do realize you're in the wrong lanes, right?
I do. I was just looking for a number.
Yeah, you're on the wrong side of the roadway.
I know that. I was looking for a number.
So she's admitting to guilt right there, isn't she?
Yeah, I know. You're on the wrong side of the roadway. I know. That would be 100% admission in my book. That's if I was the prosecutor. Now I have to put my prosecutor hat on. This is going to be fun. Let's go.
On the wrong side of the roadway, though.
And I was pulled off to the side of the road.
Yeah, you're not in the side. You're in the westbound lanes and you're facing eastbound.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I apologize.
Where are you coming from?
I apologize.
She's sorry.
Yeah,
They
she
wanna-
has no idea what she's in for.
They want to take her to a dungeon. Their whole goal is to slap the torture cuffs on her. And she's thinking that these people are decent.
North Palm Beach.
North Palm?
Yes.
What were you doing over there?
That's where I live.
So what do you think about that, Larry, about this back and forth? And all the cops have been trained to say, where are you going? Where are you coming from? Whose house are you going to? What were you doing there? These kinds of questions.
Yeah, they're trying. It seems like small talk, but the reality is the investigation, as you know, and your audience knows, has already begun. The questions are being fired away, and they're going to lead to eventually you saying something like, oh, what were you doing at your friend's house? Oh, just hanging out. Oh, just hanging out. Yeah, I just had a few Oh, fuck.
Yeah. I just had a few drinks. So I want to jump ahead a little bit here because this back and forth happens. And then when they go to get her out of the car and tell her they want her to do the stupid human trick, she's not being cooperative. And what do you think about that? About the idea? I'm not in this particular video. I guess they're not going to do it, but they typically want to pull you out of the car and then say, hey, I want you to perform these stupid human tricks. Do you advise people to do the stupid human tricks, like walk on the line, touch your nose, follow my light with the eye? And why don't you recommend for people to do those things?
2 reasons. Number one, they're collecting evidence. Why give it to them for free? Make them earn it. And number two, the unfortunate reality is that these tests are designed for failure. Now, you got to be very careful, because I have a reputation as a trial lawyer. I've tried cases in front of people, not YouTube audiences.
Right.
Our YouTube audience is very different from reality.
Right.
When you walk inside that courtroom, you're going to have, unfortunately, people who love the government, trust the government, trust and love police, and will support them. And if you start coming out guns a-blazing, like, woo, fuck the popos, like they're going to look at you and they're going to go, you're a psycho and your client's going to jail.
Right.
So there's like a very fine line that you have to tote, and you have to play the game. You have to know your audience, and you have to know your opponent, which is the police officer. Now, both you and the cop and the judge and the prosecutor know that these tests are shit, but they're going to make them look like, except for you, they're going to make them look like they're the hottest thing since sliced bread. You know, there's like all this data and all this research to back up the, I've never dug into, like, physically into the research and all that. I had other people do it for me, and I went to the seminars and I learned about this stuff. And I can tell you from their research, what I have learned is that these tests were done very in the 70s and 80s. They were done very, very quickly with very there was no confirmation. What is it called? Not confirmation bias.
Peer review.
Peer review. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Peer review. There was no peer review done. Nobody looked at these numbers. Nobody reviewed their work. They basically just kind of did a few experiments with 20-year-olds. A bunch of 20-year-olds. There was like one or two that were like over 60. Everybody else, like the bulk, like 88 to 85% of the subjects. I hate that term, but I have to use it here. Of the subjects that they had for this study, all three studies, by the way, are very young, agile, mobile. They're not in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. And they were doing basically these experiments, and they're just kind of like, all right, let's try this field sobriety test and see how that does statistically. But there was no, they did not use the scientific method. They just kind of did a cursory, we're getting paid for this by the government, let's just give them what they want. And that's exactly how it happened. And now you have this test, which is now suddenly it's a psychomotor, divided attention. When these words get thrown around, horizontal gaze nystagmus is a made-up cop term.
like excited delirium.
Something like that. Yeah. I mean, there's
say that phrase again for us so we can write it down.
Horizontal gaze nystagmus, also known as the follow my finger test, right? Now, the words themselves, horizontal, okay, horizontal, moving from left to right,
right.
Not vertical, horizontal, all right. Gaze, okay, you're looking at something. Right. Nystagmus, oh, I know that word. Nystagmus, yeah, that's when your eye does one of these little jerky things.
Oh, okay, that's where it comes from.
Right? That's exactly what it is. But the combination of words, horizontal gaze nystagmus, which is the first field sobriety test, usually administered first. This is the follow my finger, follow my pen test, to make sure that, your eyes move smoothly across the surface, as they like to say, and they're not jerking like windshield wipers that need to be replaced.
Right. They kind of shake a little bit.
Exactly. It is a made-up term. It never, prior to it being implemented in the standardized field sobriety testing curriculum, it didn't exist. They literally made it up. Larry, they created it out of thin air.
I've had people in my chat tell me that if you follow your finger and you're impaired, that your eyes will start to shake when you get to the far left or the far right of that horizontal and the stagnant, whatever you said. And that you're telling me now that that's patently false.
Well, no. Hold on. That's not what I said.
Okay.
I said the test itself, the way that they named it, is not medically appropriate.
Okay.
Now, how they administer it is the absolute key. Now, truth be told, Out of all field sobriety tests, by the way, the walk and turn, the one leg stand, we're talking about the 3 basic. We're not talking about the A-RIDE or the DRE training, which goes way beyond also like medicine and science. It's one of the most fascinating. It's literally like the way I can describe, by the way, DREs, drug recognition experts.
Okay.
They're like police officers who just put on a white coat and they say like, I'm a doctor now.
Right.
Like, oh, did you go to medical school? No, but I'm a doctor now. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Because they're going to start like testing your muscle rigidity, your pupil size. They're going to look at the coating
up
on
your arm.
tongue. You have to, all sorts of, there's they turn the lights off and they have to turn them on. I mean, it is crazy. It's basically, they're performing all sorts of pseudo-medical procedures on you. But to answer your question, the first one that you asked about horizontal gaze nystagmus, nystagmus is a real thing. There is actually a United States Supreme Court case, I forget the name, that lists that I loved to use. I don't use so much anymore unless I have like a pure field sobriety test case, which we don't get those anymore as much. Now I'm getting the heavy, difficult stuff. I used to easy stuff. I started winning too much, so prosecutors stopped trying that shit against me. They're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Now they're trying like blood cases and like really heavy duty shit. That's the only scraps I'm left with anymore, because they're too scared to try the easy stuff because they know they're going to lose. But I can tell you that when you have a pure field sobriety test case, horizontal gaze nystagmus is probably the most accurate. Like really, like literally speaking, it's still going to be wrong 2 out of 3 times because humans are fallible creatures. They make mistakes. Think about it. You're looking for a millimeter to millimeter jerking of an eye when you're standing outside. There might be rain, wind, traffic, lights, sirens, cars zooming by. You got a flashlight. It's dark. There's like so many distractions, and you're just like looking at this, and it looks like I saw some. Yeah, sure. Let's mark it 4 clues, 3 clues. I don't know. I don't care. That's what really happens. That's the problem. That's why they're designed for failure. In a perfect world, if you had like a medical professional in the police station to go, all right, have a seat here, follow my finger, you ready? And then just in a quiet environment, go through, record the whole interaction.
Right.
It would be a totally different world.
Right.
But we don't get that. And why? Why don't we get that? 2 reasons. One, because it costs money. But the most important, lawyers are not forcing the government to do it, because if lawyers would consistently win these cases over and over and over, eventually the cops would get tired of losing, the government would get tired of losing, and plug up the holes. Right. And do exactly what I'm telling you, that they would make these tests and administer them in a more perfect environment to get a better result. They would start recording things more. They would create an environment that allows for an easier conviction. But instead, what we get is this hosh-posh of, semi-professional, semi-whatever, because nobody checks the work.
Right. So we saw that 18-year-old kid last year who recorded the cops. He got sued for defamation. A lot of people covered the video. Do you remember this 18-year-old kid played football for his community college or his local state college? And then they pulled him over and they ran him through a bunch of tests. And they said, oh yeah, you're impaired. And he's like laughing at the cop and calling him a dumbass. I'm like, I play football for my team. I'm not impaired at all. And then the cop said that his eyes shook and there's not a camera here recording what the cop is seeing. It's just up to that jackboot thug pig to say, oh yeah, I saw his eyes shake. And so now he's under arrest. I mean, this is a really big case. I mean, the video's been seen millions of times by people. And so you're saying essentially here that the tests are designed for you to fail, that there was no real scientific method to them. And then even for the one that could have a scientific method, human beings are so faulty, you're looking at it being wrong most of the time. And so you should never take these tests, ever.
Correct.
Even if you've been drinking, you still should never take the tests.
Correct.
So let's say you make a stupid decision, your uncle passes away, like I believe my uncle passed away. I can't take that call right now because it's going to make me cry my eyes out. But And so even if you know that you were at your uncle's wake and you're pretty inebriated and you get pulled over and he says, hey, let's do the test, you still invoke your Fifth Amendment right, shut up and just go to jail. Don't do any tests. Completely ignore that pig. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do. Yeah. Nothing good can come from doing those tests. I've had police officers take the stand and testify as to what they saw. And I know it's all bullshit. It's all lies. They're reading off the citation that they wrote that may or may not be true, an hour before trial, memorizing it and regurgitating that information on the stand. And then there's this one famous phrase that I heard a few times. That's why I stopped asking that question, because it really hurts me in my case. I forget like how it would exactly prompt this response, but the response essentially would come out as, the police officer would say like, there were plenty of times where I have stopped individuals. They did the field sobriety test, performed well, and I let them go. And I think one time I even asked the cop, like, what would be, it was back in my younger years. Like now thinking back about it, like I would never in a million years ask this question today. But I think the question was like, what's the percentage or something like that?
Right. How many have you let go in ratio?
And I believe, if memory serves, this has been years. It's like one of my first cases I've ever tried. I believe he said like 50%, like insane, like an insane lie. But it makes him look so good. That's why I hate that question. He's like, well, like 1 out of 2 people I do field sobriety tests, I'll let them go. Like you just put that in the minds of a jury, and your guy was one of the 50 that he decided to arrest. So your guy must have really done it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like this guy's an angel.
Have you ever heard of Susan Bassey on the West Coast up in Northern California?
Susan for some reason that name does ring a bell. I don't know why.
She's suing Santa Clara police. What is it? Anyway, I can't remember the police up there. She's been in a battle with these people for years for different things. But what she says specifically is that when you go to trial on the jury is filled with Karens and Kevins who want to rule against you. Do you find something similar like that?
You just gave me a mental image. That's why I'm laughing.
I can just see Kevin, Karen, Kevin, Karen.
All right, here's story time. That prompted another story. Here's another war story from the war chest. It's another this is even smaller, 50 times smaller than the county of the story I shared previously. My client is driving from Tennessee, where he was visiting his parents, and he's driving up north, but his phone dies. So he loses GPS, his ability to find where he's going. And he's basically driving up the roads, trying to figure out how to get home, and he gets lost. And he arrives in this county, and he's going down the highway. It's foggy. So he's driving slower than usual, and he gets pulled over for that reason. Driving too slow for traffic conditions, which was the dumbest thing I've ever seen, because he told me, I wasn't there, but he told me it was really foggy and you couldn't see more than like 15 feet in front of you. So you got to be careful. Well, whatever. They pull him over. Because it's a small county, somebody is getting pulled over. 9 cops show up, right? So there's like 5 police cars. And anyway, long story short, they do field sobriety tests. And there was no breath test because he refused. Speaking of, by the way, just real quick,
go ahead.
I know there's people here from like probably all 50 states and other countries.
Yeah, there is.
I always say like refuse all the tests. And in Kentucky, also refuse the breath test. There are 11 states where that advice is bad, where you will be charged with a separate crime for refusing. Like Nebraska, Minnesota, and like 9 others, I believe. Nebraska, I know for sure, because Bell Island, shout out Bell, he practices there. And one time he heard me say, like, always refuse. And he's like, Larry, don't give that advice to clients in my state, because they will be charged with a crime. And I'm like, holy shit. You could win the underlying DUI and still be charged with the crime of refusing to take a breath test.
That's crazy.
Insane to me.
Those are Republicans and Democrats who collude together to create legislation against our natural rights. I mean, it's a statement, but How do we stop this? How do we change this where you don't have to be tested by the government because they say they want to test you?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it?
It has to be legislated.
But yeah, back to the story. So
Karens
and Kens. God, Karens and Kens. Anyway, long story short, the case goes to trial. We pick our jury. The police officer takes the stand. I think I did okay with him. But then we decide to put on our own case, which normally I used to do, but I'm changing tactics. I'm changing gears, especially now that my cases are starting to become a little bit more difficult. And let's be honest, maybe my client has a little bit of, not so much innocence, let's just say. So it's not as easy. But this was back in the days where my client, I thought, was 100% clean in this, like 100%, which there's nothing more terrifying, by the way, for an attorney than to represent a person you absolutely believe is innocent. And it was a very stressful trial because of that. And he's a young kid. He's like 24, my client at the time. So his brother takes the stand. His brother is a doctor and he testifies, and it kind of starts going sideways. He goes a little sovereign citizen on me on the witness stand, which I was not ready for. I mean, I kind of expected, I was ready for some things, but he goes full blown, because the reason we put him on the stand is because the explanation he was going to bring to the table is that our client refused because his brother told him to, because he's a medical doctor and he knows this stuff. And it actually kind of backfired. And then our client takes the stand, he tells his story, and the jury leaves, comes back guilty, no jail time. Afterwards, I'm like, Your Honor, can I love talking to my juries after. Some judges hate it because they know that you're going to learn stuff and they don't want you to. They want to keep you in the dark as much as possible. But this judge was gracious enough and was like, go ahead, no problem.
You asked the judge if you could speak with
the jury. Yeah, sorry. And I remember speaking to them, and I will never forget, because the first word, as soon as she opened her mouth, I was like, oh God, I had a Karen on my jury. As we walk out, and I'm like, hey, listen, I just want to ask you, why did you decide the way you decided? And I swear to God, this is what one of the jurors said. She looked at me and she said, well, I think you did a really good job with that police officer. You had us up until then. She said us. So I'm like, so you're probably the foreperson. You had us there. But then when your client took the stand, she says, I have a son. I swear to God. This is I was like, what the hell does this have to do with anything? I have a son. My son would never forget his charger. So I think your client was lying because he testified in one of his testimony was that he did not have a charger to charge his phone. So he didn't have GPS. So he got lost, blah, blah. That's it. And I was like, lady, did you listen to any of the evidence other than that? Because she got so hung up on, my son would have never done that. Therefore, he's lying.
Wow.
What do you do? There's nothing in life that can prepare you for that.
No, there's nothing that can. People think that whatever they do is whatever someone else is going to do as well. Like my teenage nephew doesn't ever forget his charger, so no other teenage boy would forget his nephew. And this guy
logic is impeccable,
And this guy was charged with a DUI?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. What did you do? Did you appeal the case?
So it was actually fascinating. I now that I'm remembering it a bit better, because this one also has been 3 years now, maybe. Yeah, about 3 years. It'll be in January. I'll never forget. We walk out to the parking lot. Like I said, he got no jail time, so he was going home, just like we are. And we walk outside. It's still light out. How is it still light? Yeah, it must have been like 4 or 5 p.m. It was just about to start getting dark. And he's walking up to me, and he's got something in his hand. He's got something in his hand, and he's kind of holding it like this, and he's walking up to me, and he's like, Mr. Foreman. I turn around, I go, yeah. I'm talking to my associate after the trial. he's like, I just want to give this to you. And it's like $100. And I'm like, why are you giving me this money? And he's like, oh, I just wanted to tip you for a job well done. I said, man, get that fucking money out of here. Just go home. What are you doing? Do I look like a waiter to you? You're giving me a tip or like, oh, that was a delicious meal, counselor. Thank you so much. Here's the fucking tip. I'm like, dude, go spend that on some gas money or buy yourself some food. Like, come on, man. What are you doing?
Does he get the felony on his record forever?
It's not a felony. It's a misdemeanor. It's actually not even a misdemeanor in Kentucky. It's technically a traffic offense. Like if you look up, yes, a DUI is a traffic offense. If you're convicted or charged with one and it's just a DUI, maybe like a few other traffic cases, it will always be a year like 23-T Tom case and then the case number. Now, if you throw in like a misdemeanor in there, your case will automatically change to an M. But if it's just a DUI or let's say a pure DUI, it will always be a T case. The only way to get a felony in Kentucky is, by the way, for the record, is like number 49. We may have jumped up a little bit with the ignition interlock device law changes a couple of years ago, but 47, okay, 47th in like seriousness of penalties when it comes to DUIs. We're very relaxed. Like a fourth is a felony. You can have up to 3 DUIs in Kentucky and you're not a convicted felon.
That's Appalachian country up there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's mostly white people?
I would imagine, probably. Yeah, that would be an accurate statement.
And so the legislators are mostly going to be white because the population is mostly white. And I would love to say that race doesn't play a factor into things, but it does, especially with the law and legislating and things like that. So I wonder why that is up there, because in a lot of states, it's a felony right away. You're screwed. Am I incorrect about that?
No. You reminded me of something. The South Carolina, I think. I was at a seminar a few years ago, and there was this gentleman from South Carolina, prosecutor. I remember it was a prosecutor from South Carolina came to speak to us. It was one of the most fascinating, like, oh my God, I felt the energy from that seminar again. It was so fascinating. I have never, like, usually it's just criminal defense attorneys get up there and speak, you know. In South Carolina, she was telling us that they overcharge, basically intentionally. She didn't use those words, but that's essentially what she was saying. They overcharge with every DUI. They attach, like, by the way, if there's anybody here from South Carolina who knows this, please shout out in the chat, because I want to know if it's still true, because this was years ago. This was like 7 or 8 years ago. And it's either South or North Carolina. Now I'm backpedaling, but I think it's South. Anyway, she said that they would charge anytime there would be a DUI. You know what they would tack on?
No.
Attempted murder.
Oh, yeah. I remember hearing about this. I've heard about this before, where someone told me that if you get caught drunk driving, it's an attempted murder charge. And I was like, what? And then I looked into it just a little bit. I think I didn't have the interest to keep going, but what is that still a thing?
I don't know. Like I said, this was years ago. And I know some states, I mean, look, we've represented people who really do get loaded, you know, and let's be honest, obviously, drunk driving is a horrible, horrible crime that destroys lives, destroys people, kills people. No question about it. And sometimes you do get disaster cases, I guess we could call them, you know, where the client gets loaded completely and goes on the ramp, and it's the wrong ramp, which is one of the worst possible scenarios. You're going down the wrong way up the highway, you know, and now you're about to be flooded with cars. You're going to see a bunch of headlights coming your way, which is not something you're supposed to be seeing when you're driving down the highway. In those cases, you know, even here, like in Louisville, they will tack on a bunch of wanton endangerment charges. No question about it. Which is still a felony. It's a low-grade felony. But wanton endangerment, if you break it down, that's exactly what it is. You are wantonly, so right, you have intentional conduct.
Okay.
you have non-intentional conduct, and then you have wanton conduct, and then you have negligence, right? That's basically the breakdown.
Right.
Excuse me, intentional, knowing, wanton, and negligent. So this goes beyond negligence, but it's below intent or knowledge.
Right.
It's just I wantonly, slipped on a banana peel, like oopsie daisy. I didn't mean to do that, but I did it. This is kind of like that. It's a little bit in between those two, or those three, or whatever. So wantonly endangering someone else's life. It's a felony carrying up to 1 to 5 years in prison in Kentucky. So it's a Class D felony. The law is great. Well, they will tack on like 2, 3, 4, 5, and sometimes even wanton endangerment on a police officer, which is a Class C felony. It's one above that, 5 to 10 years. Now that I can understand. There you go. It's on the screen for those of you who want to read along as I'm speaking. Wanton endangerment, they'll just tack on as a ride-along charge. Sometimes it's merited, sometimes it's not. Like in the case where you're driving down the wrong side of the highway, absolutely, I think it's merited being charged. But if you're just driving down the road and you get pulled over for speeding, and then they just tack on. I mean, the reason they do that, let's just address the obvious for a second. The reason they tack on this wanton endangerment charge or attempted murder charge in the Carolinas, again, I don't know if anyone can confirm or deny if this is still a thing, it is just negotiation power. That's all they do it for. They don't really care. Hey, Mestiff. They don't really care. They're going to use that later as leverage, the prosecution, that is. They're going to use that as leverage. Like, look, we'll dismiss the 20 years in prison attempted murder charge if you just take the DUI, which is really all they want. They don't care about the murder charge because they know they're never going to be able to prove it.
Right.
Do you realize how tenuous it is to try to prove that your mindset at the time when you're sitting at the bar going, yeah, my daughter just, won a basketball game and da-da-da.
Right.
And then you're getting in the car like, let's go murder some folks,
So preposterous. It's so preposterous.
I can't even see the connection, but the fact is that they're doing it. They're doing it, and they're doing it to gain leverage. At least they did. I don't know if they still do. But at the end of the day, in a perfect world, a police officer should gather, the totality of the circumstances. This is their favorite phrase. Well, you saw when I would cross-examine them, like, oh, and then you didn't see this clue, and you didn't see this clue, and you didn't see this clue, and you're a piece of shit, and you're a dumbass, and you don't know what you're doing. It's like, whoa. Counselor, I look at the totality of the circumstances when I make my arrest decision. And based on the totality of the circumstances and the totality of the clues that your client has exhibited, I believed him to be under the influence. Fuck, I just lost this case because of this piece of shit smart-ass cop. Like how many times have I been in that situation? Sometimes you still get an acquittal. Sometimes you still win.
So what the cop says, something, and that can sway the jury to go against you.
Sure. Yeah, no, but in this classic example, it's this is if I have a good cop, like a smart cop, when you try to break them down and then they try to recover, if they're able to recover successfully, which very few have, because you have to do it right. It's not just like, oh my God, Larry, you just gave him the secret, live on the air, and now you're going to start losing all your cases, right? No, of course not, because you have to have the brains behind the brawn. Most of them, unfortunately, no offense, they don't have the brains behind the brawn. They just have the brawn.
Right.
But the ones that do have the brains are actually the most deadly in the courtroom, because when they get up on that stand and they're like the coolest person in the room, that's not a very good look for you, because they're going to recover potentially from anything that you throw at them. So it's a dance. It is a dance.
So I'm showing right now Cortez versus the United States. And if you scroll down here to sorry about that, to right here, where we get into the opinion here. This is where you're going to get the totality of circumstances of the case. And I actually have it exactly where it is. So courts have used a variety of terms to capture the elusive concept of what is sufficient to authorize police to stop a person, like articulable reasons or founded suspicion are not self-defining. They fall short of the clear guides. And so then as you keep going down, and then this is where the actual holding is, or the actual what they held to be constitutional. The idea that an assessment of the whole picture must yield a particularized suspicion contains two elements, each of which must be present before a stop is permissible. First, the assessment must be based upon all of the circumstances. The analysis proceeds with various objective observations, information from police reports, if such are available, and consideration of the modus or pattern of the operation of certain kinds of lawbreakers. From this data, a trained officer can draw inferences and make deductions that might well elude an untrained person. So they're saying that these cops who are just morons have this way to infer and deduce. And this is where you get totality of circumstances. That's where it comes from the 1981 case of Cortez versus United States.
Is that where it comes from? I never knew it. I thought it was way earlier than that, but I don't know.
Well, Terry v. Ohio creates the reasonable articulable suspicion, and then that's going to be expanded again in Williams versus Adams 72, and then you pop right into 81 Cortez. Well, you have Pennsylvania versus Mims in 77, get the driver out of the car, and then Cortez makes it so they take the totality of circumstances. And you always have to talk like this when you're being a judge. You're talking like a cop. They always
yeah. Like, to distract you from voodoo. That's clever. I never thought about that.
Oh, this is when I play a cop, I often dress up like a pig, and then I'll play this. I have no respect for cops, Larry. I'm sorry.
I know. I've seen some of your videos. I was like,
I can't.
Do I want to come on this dude's channel? Like, what does that make me look like? Like, am I gonna be okay? Is my reputation gonna tank after No, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
I did watch it. I was like, holy shit, this guy is insane.
Yeah,
that's the first thought that I thought. I'm just being honest.
I changed the word from insane to dead honest. I say exactly the way I see it. I don't hold any punches. I just say exactly how it is. Now, that is an acquired taste for most people. Most people can't take going, why is that cop here? That cop is here to arrest somebody and to take someone to the dungeon and then charge you a bounty for your body. That's what he's here to do. And when you tell people that, they're like, oh, why are you saying that? Here to arrest somebody? That's why he's here. Don't walk up and talk to him. So, as far as your reputation, I think you solidified your own reputation.
Oh, no, dude, I was just fucking.
I know that, but your reputation is pretty well known. I mean, I sat and binge watched all your videos last night. I've seen almost every video now because I wanted to make sure I knew what you covered, and I wanted to cover it as well as I possibly could. I think that, the difference between us is you went to law school. I really wish I'd gone to law school when I was younger, and now I have no desire to be an attorney. It's just such a mess. It's such a mess. And I have a big heart. I end up helping so many people. I give away my products for free. Like, I've just done everything I can to help people. If I spent the 3 years to go to law school, I think I would just end up being a sucker. I would just end up working for people for free. And that brings me to another question. How come nobody, I have an email list of thousands of people. Why can't anybody find an attorney to represent them? They can't find an attorney. It's in every state. Is it just the money thing? Because you have to make money for what you do. But there's very few pro bono attorneys. And is that, I don't really understand. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't understand. Maybe you can explain it from a different perspective. You kind of did earlier, but is it just money? Is that the biggest problem we're facing?
Okay, so I lost the thread of the actual question. You said you have a list of lots and lots of people needing lawyers.
Yes.
But they can't find a good one, or they can't find a free one. Is that what's the question?
Well, a lot of people will bring their cases. They send me their case, all the information, 45 paragraphs, and I got to try to sift through this thing to figure out what's in there. But they go to attorneys in their area. Mm-hmm. And no one wants to sue the cops. Nobody wants to sue the government.
Oh, well, okay. That's a totally different question. And that's a very easy answer, because they don't want to ruin relationships. That's easy. I mean, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of, because, again, you should never be attacked as a person personally for the job you do as a professional. Like, I have had jury trials where the prosecutor and I were at each other's throats, like as it's progressing. And this is much, much later in my career. When I was younger, I would never be able to do this. But like we would be ripping each other apart, threatening sanctions. Like if Mr. Foreman doesn't stop this right now, I'm gonna. If then Mr. Smith doesn't stop this, I'm da da da. And then as soon as the trial is over, we get the verdict or hung jury, whatever. I walk up to the prosecutor, be like, "Hey man, you did a good job out there. Like, so what are you doing later this evening?" Da, da, da. Like there's this dichotomy, which I love in my profession, that you're able to kind of separate. And some people, very few and far in between, and we know who they are. Prosecutors who are unable to do so, and usually they're very short-lived. Actually, I do have one prosecutorial scalp in my back pocket, so I'm very proud of that one. And it's one of those prosecutors that just could not separate. She took everything personally. I would file a motion, and she would literally text me and be like, "Why are you doing this?" And I'd be like, "What the fuck are you talking about? What do you mean? What am I doing? This is like my job." It wasn't exactly like that, but that's literally how it felt like. And her attitude towards the case, which I was like, "Where are you coming from?" She took the case very, very personally, which is improper. But going back to
you're telling me though, Mary Thompson in Kansas, just a name I just made up. Mary Thompson, she brings the video to the lawyer. She shows the lawyer. She's shopping around different lawyers. And the reason why most of those lawyers won't take the case is because they don't want to mess up their relationships with the judges and the prosecutors and the other lawyers.
I think so. Because you're suing. Who are you going to be suing? You're going to be suing the police department. You're going to be suing the city. You're going to be suing the police officer that allegedly did what you're saying that they did. So there's another thing that factors in here, by the way, and this is no less important, because this has nothing to do with money. Again, now you're talking about civil cases. So let's just shift the audience's minds into what we're talking about, because I think they're going to get lost if we're not careful. So let me just paint the picture. So now you've been charged with a crime, and let's say you've been beat up by the police,
right?
Very excessively, right? Excessive force was used. Now you want to sue under 1983 action. You want to sue and recoup your expenses for the pain and loss and suffering that you had to endure that was above and beyond what should have been implemented against you at the time of the arrest. Let's just say, for example. And you're trying to find a lawyer. This is what you're talking about. You're trying to find a lawyer. Now, this lawyer this is not a criminal case. This is going to be a civil case, because at the end of the day, the police officer is not going to go to jail. The government's not going to be locked up, which would be really interesting how you lock up an entity. But we'll have to ask Rick and Morty, I guess, how you do that. But at the end of the day, you're going to be either paid or not paid. That's all it is. You're going to either get money or not get money, and how much, right? So now you need to find a lawyer who is well equipped to do these cases. Because if you are going to be suing an entity such as the government that you're literally a part of, unfortunately, and this is where a lot of lawyers get the bad name, which rightfully so. If you are unable to shit in the bed you sleep in just because you're afraid it's going to ruin everything,
right?
To me, you're a pussy. Okay, I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. I don't do this kind of work because that's not my passion. That's not what I want to do. My passion lies elsewhere. But if I could, I would, because this is going to be a whole new area of law that I would have to learn and study and be good at.
Court law, so it's different.
And it's civil too, right? I mean, I'm doing more like personal injury, car accidents, because I'm an ambulance chaser now. It is what it is. There's good money there. I don't give a shit. I got a career, making a career out of it. But if you are going to be looking, so let me just finally answer the question, I guess, from the side. You need to find a lawyer that is going to not be afraid to go up against the government, number one. And number two, somebody that knows their shit, somebody that knows their stuff. Because that's why they're having trouble, because you got to have the perfect storm. Because 98% of lawyers are going to be like, I don't even know what I'm doing, so I'm not going to touch this. The other, 1% or whatever are going to be like, I don't even know if I should be, going up against these people. So I'm just not going to. It's probably like I'm making these numbers up, but
90 percentile is about right.
But you got to find that 1% to 2% or whatever of people, of lawyers who are both not afraid to go up against their friends. Let's just call it what it is, right? And they're good at their job, because here's the key. A lawyer that knows what they're doing will never let it get to their head. They're just doing their job, and people will understand it. It's the same example that we talked about previously of me and the police officers thought, oh shit, this case is gone. Now that they see that Larry Foreman's name is on the ticket, right? He's the one representing John Smith. Right. Well, this case is going to go sideways now, because we're going to have a tough time. It's this, there's a mutual respect. This is why I was cackling when he told me this, my client, because it's true. There's a hatred. There's definitely a like, oh fuck this guy again, but there isn't like a fuck that guy type of mentality. I hate him. It's a, oh God, here we go. This is gonna be rough. This is gonna suck for me, because I'm up against a very formidable opponent that comes out of left field at me at things that I'm not ready for. This is gonna be difficult. Right. That's not a despising or a hatred. It is a mutual respect. So I have conquered that in the criminal field here in Kentucky. What your audience needs to do, and maybe this is something that kind of, there's two of them that I can think of off the top of my head. You have the civil rights lawyer. I'm sure you know him. He's got the YouTube channel of his own. You covered one of his videos today. Have you had him on the show yet?
No, I haven't.
John, I forget his last name.
Brian John or something like that.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
John Bryan is his name.
Something like that. He's a cool dude. He's a super chill guy. You can feel free to like reach out to him. Tell him I told you to reach out to him. He's an awesome guy. Chris Wiest is the other one. And the reason I know those two names is they're both kind of like in my area. Wiest covers like he's more in West Virginia, but he does do a lot of Kentucky stuff. And at the end of the day, it's a specialty. It's a specialty type of work. So your audience that is having trouble, finding a lawyer, they need to talk to John. They need to talk to Chris, and either they're going to hire one of those two to represent them, or they're going to recommend whatever. Like if you're in Nebraska, if you're in California, obviously they're probably not going to do those cases unless it's like a death, because they're federal cases. You can literally, there's no limit. You can practice anywhere in the country. But what I always say, and I think I made a short on this not that long ago, because this is a very popular question. I have a need for a lawyer. How do I find a good one? Give me that 1%. I'm willing to spend the money. We'll talk about it in a second, by the way, on the civil stuff, because it's also very important. But I just give me a good lawyer and I'll pay for them. Talk to the good ones. Email me. I can probably point you in the right direction depending on what kind of case it is. You send me like a medical malpractice in New York. Actually, I do know a medical malpractice lawyer in New York. But you asked me for like, I don't know, like a tax attorney in Iowa. I don't know a tax attorney in Iowa, but I may be able to find you one, because
you're telling me that I could open my email right now and read you 100 emails of people saying, Chille, help me find a lawyer in Utah. Help me find a lawyer in West Virginia, in wherever. So you're telling me that to sue the government in a tort lawsuit, U.S. Code 42, 1983, U.S. Code 18 is a criminal offense that the prosecutor have to bring against the cop that violated your rights. But U.S. Code 42 is what I sue cops under when I go pro per. So you're telling me that it's a niche industry within lawyers to do tort lawsuits. And even when you do find someone who does tort lawsuits, that there's an even smaller niche of attorneys who are brave enough to take on other attorneys who will be defending the cops and go against the judge. The judge is often against me, just so you know, in all my cases. The judges, they're trying to side for the state almost every time. So you're saying for people, it's a niche inside of a niche, and there's a fear factor to it and a career thing to it. And that's the reason why people, even my friend Pamela in Tennessee, who came to me and said, Chille, I've got enough money. I just need an attorney to help me do this. She can't find one because they don't want to rock the boat within their little pond.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. So, and with respect to the money, this is another important part. For the criminal side of things, right? So let's go back to the example of you got beat up by the police, wrongfully so, and you believe you're entitled to compensation. At the criminal portion of the case, you're going to have to fork money out of your own pocket in order, or hire the public defender if you can't afford a private attorney, and they will represent you. In the civil arena, 95% of the time, maybe lower in some jurisdictions, and times they are changing a little bit. So I don't know the state of the union with respect to contingency agreements, but historically at least, the majority of civil cases are done on a contingency basis. What does that mean? So there are really three ways that an attorney can charge you money. Number one is flat fee. This is what we operate under. Flat fee is you pay and you pay now, or you pay like half today, half tomorrow, or whatever it is, right? Or in 30 days is what we usually do. Now I'm doing a little bit of payment plans, but besides the point, flat fee. Number two, hourly. The big firms, this is what they do. They rack up the hours. They work these big cases. You can't do it on a flat fee because you don't know how many hours it's going to take. Those are the two most common ways to charge in a criminal case. In a civil case, you are 100% of the time going to be charged contingency. Now, sometimes it's known as a mixed contract. They may add like contingency plus flat fee, contingency plus hourly. It depends. Usually it won't be contingency plus hourly, but the most common that I've seen is contingency plus flat fee. What does that mean? That means you fork over a set amount at the beginning, 5, 10, 15,000 or whatever it is. That's the lawyer's fee for their work. Usually smaller boutiques will charge that because they don't have enough cash flow to be able to support the volume of litigation, let's say, that is coming their way. So they need that initial injection of cash in order to be able to sustain the longevity of the litigation.
Sure.
But the majority that I've seen, like for instance, in a personal injury case, in a car wreck, they're 100% contingency, not even mixed. Because if you are going to start doing mixed contracts and in car accident cases, guess what? You are going to be outbid by everybody, and you're going to get no business whatsoever. Because it's a very competitive market, and nobody does mixed fees.
What does contingency mean exactly, though? What does that mean? Does that mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep using that term, and I didn't define it. Contingency basically means is you only get paid. You've seen those billboards by Morgan & Morgan, free admission, or we work for free, which, by the way, is a total fucking lie, but it's a great gimmick because it's half true, and that's all you really need in advertising. You don't get paid, we don't get paid. That's what it means. Contingency means if you get paid, if we win your case and you get paid $10,000, a portion of that, 33.3% is the most common, 40 being the other. And then if we go to litigation, it goes up all the way up to 50, usually no more than 50. We get a piece of the pie. So you get 4,000, you get 6,000, we get 4,000 in like a 40-60 split, right? That's a contingency agreement. So if you are hiring a civil lawyer to pursue a 1983 action against the government for the damage you suffered, you can hire a lawyer essentially for free, right? If you don't win, if the lawyer doesn't win, you don't pay anything. Right. But if the lawyer wins the case and they get money, you get a portion of it and they get a portion of it.
How many lawyers do that for civil rights cases? How many lawyers?
All of them.
All of them do. So if someone's looking for an attorney, so if you're looking for an attorney in Alaska, you find somebody, cops beat you up, and so then you'll look for an attorney on contingency who will take the case and sue the cops under the assumption or under the agreement that we're going to be splitting this, 60, 40, 50, 50, whatever, 30, 70, however they decide. They both mutually agree on that. We sign a contract, and then you take on the case against the cops in Alaska. But how common is that? How often does that actually happen?
How often does what happen?
I mean, so many people contact me, they have video and everything, and they still can't get an attorney. So is that a normal thing that they're going to sue the police for you on contingency?
Well, again, you're coming back to the whole.
Because to me, I think it's a pipe dream is the way I see it.
Find someone who's not a pussy. I guess. I don't know.
Look, the way I say it, and I just go by raw numbers, you're going to come up with 3,000 to 5,000 right off the top. And then you pay that lawyer $3,000 to $5,000. And then that will last you for a month or two. And then you got another $3,000 to $5,000 coming in for anybody you're going to pay to actually fight for you. But, I'm not an attorney. I'm talking out my ass here. I have no idea, but I know, well, not entirely, because I've hired lots of lawyers in my lifetime, but that's typically how it's been for me is, when I hired Robert Shapiro in 2002, it cost me $50,000 up front. Fortunate for me, I had $50,000 sitting in my bank account, but it wiped me out. I had 127,000 or something like that when I was no-knock rated by the cops. And everything I had built up to 27 years old was completely drained. I had booked national TV shows. I had booked national commercials. I did all these things. And then that stopped my career completely. I couldn't step on a set for 2 years because I was under felony indictment. And so for me, just to beat the charges, took Shapiro $50,000. And then, the expert witnesses, and then more fees coming in from Shapiro that was constant, another 4,000, another 7,000, another 2,000 here. And eventually, we beat the case, got it down to a possession charge, but it turned my life completely upside down. And now I see all these people contacting me saying, Chille, I mean, the typical first line I get on most of my inquiries is, Chille, please help me. And then they gush out their story, and I feel completely helpless, but I can't, and they can't even get an attorney. And that's where the rubber meets the road, to be honest with you, Larry, where people really have a hard time is getting that attorney. And I wouldn't bring this up, but this is a main staple in so many. I mean, people ask me, I'll pay for you to go to law school if you'll represent me. I've got that letter. I've gotten that letter 100 times. 100 times I've gotten that letter. What will it take for you to go to law school because you actually want to help people? I get that letter all the time. So I don't know how to, you're telling them pretty much the same thing I'm telling them. Find an attorney who will work with you on contingency. I hire flat rate attorneys as well. So it just seems like the system is designed so it won't fight itself, is what it sounds like.
Well, you bring up a very curious point. Maybe it's time for me to start shifting my professional endeavors, right? There's a shortage. It sounds like there's a shortage, and there's an open market for this type of litigation. But again, here's the problem, and why more you'd imagine, like, there's a need. Why isn't it being filled? Supply and demand principles. Well, the answer is very easy. Because it's really, really hard work, and you're going up against your buddies. Hello, again, we're coming back full circle. The same concept is that you're not just suing Walmart or Target or whatever for a slip and fall case. Like, who gives a shit? It's a corporation. Right. Now you got to sue Officer Smith, who is whose kid plays softball with your children. And it's like, fuck, now I'm ruining relationships. I'm ruining friendships. I don't know. It gets really messy, but there's more to it than that, I think. So from my conversations with Chris Wiest, one of the names that I mentioned, who does this kind of work, he's based in West Virginia. I'm pretty sure. No, wait a second.
Is he Ohio?
No, that's John. I'm sorry. I got them flipped in my head.
Yeah, John's in West Virginia, I think.
John's in West Virginia. Chris is up in Northern Kentucky. I apologize.
Northern Kentucky.
He's got a 513 number, so he's just south of Cincy. He said that this kind of work, it's very interesting how he generates money, because he basically... it's almost kind of like he keeps an accounting of his hours, and if he ends up winning, it's just how much time he spent on the case. It's really bizarre, like this kind of federal work, the way it works. Because normally in like a personal injury case, let's say in a car accident, insurance company will determine how much pain and suffering you've implemented by plugging their factors into Colossus. Those of you who know that term, God bless you. But Colossus is a software that cost insurance companies somewhere upwards of like $5 to $10 billion. I think it was more than that. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it's in the billions. Like, this is how much money they spent in order to create a software that you just plug in your injuries, broken bones, soft tissue, how much money you're going to get. It's insanity. It's insanity. Now with the advent of AI, I can see them creating something even more monstrous than that. So yeah, your insurance companies look at you as a bag of dollars and cents, by the way. If you didn't know that, welcome to the real world.
Yeah.
So insurance companies do that. And now, on the flip side, it's like, well, you just got pummeled into the gravel by a police officer last year, and now you're suing them. How much is that worth? It works a little bit differently, according to Chris in my conversations with him. You don't, you calculate the value. You do have that aspect of it, but because you're not dealing with an insurance company, you're dealing with the government. The federal government is basically going to pay you for your time if the government folds. So it's like the government loses, and then the government pays you for your time, and then you share that money with your client. That's how I understand it. Now, I might be wrong, but this is how I understand it. And this is how some lawyers, such as Chris, do their work. So, again, is there a market for it? 100%. But it's like here. I'll give you a perfect example. Actually, here's another very, very, very limited field. Like I know 2 lawyers in the whole state of Kentucky. Maybe even one of them I think passed away. So it may just be one left that I know of. There may be more who do legal malpractice work. Now think about that. What is legal malpractice? This is you're hiring a lawyer and you're saying that lawyer represented me and I want to sue him because he did not do a good enough job and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
That's legal malpractice. He committed malpractice, or she committed malpractice, and now I want to sue their pants off because I could have won the case, but for this lawyer, essentially. That's what you're claiming. And now you need to hire a lawyer. This is like, what was it? Like a black slaver, right? From the Civil War era.
Right.
Like an African-American carrying a whip. Like that's just, whoa, like, oh my God.
Right. Like the role that they played in
Django.
Yes, the Django, where the Morgan Freeman played. It was Danny Glover. Who was that? Played the head house slave.
Yeah.
I mean, he just nailed it. It was so good. So interesting, Larry. So I want to just try to bring you back to something, because my audience and what I do specifically is I speaking of money, I give away 98% of the people who buy my product because America's broke. And so what I teach people is to invoke their Fifth Amendment right immediately. And then if the cop continues to question them, they're violating their oath to the Constitution. Is that true?
If the cop continues to question you after you invoke your right, it is violating the Constitution. Yes.
Okay. Because different people have said different things. And now that I have an attorney on, I just wanted to, someone said,
this is not legal advice, by the way. I just have to make sure like this whole thing.
Yeah,
but yeah, absolutely. Like, okay, hold on a second. You just painted literally the classic example of a violation of a Miranda right. You are in Fifth Amendment. I mean, you are being asked, hey, where are you coming from? I don't want to talk to you, is not enough, by the way. You have to say the magic words. What are the magic words, people? Don't say anything. Don't say anything, Chille. I hope I'm not. Is it Chille or Chille?
I'm okay with any name you call me, dude. But okay. I want the people to answer the question. What are the magic words? I mean, you're hearing.
What do you have to say to get the cop to shut up? Like legitimately, legally speaking. I know you guys know the answer. It's really easy.
Oh, my audience does. Team DLZ, no. Right there, Alarcia got it. Alarcia got it right away. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right.
I invoke my. It's even. There's one way simpler than that. It's actually one word, really. I mean, it would be extreme, but usually it's a few words.
Fifth Amendment.
You got it. They got it. They got it. I want my lawyer. That's what it is. You don't even need to go so far. You don't need to know, is it the 4th? Is it the 5th? The 6th? The 7th? I don't remember. Like, that's it. All you have to do is say, I want my lawyer. I'm not speaking to you without my lawyer present. And then lawyer shows up and goes, where's my present?
Right. Because in Oyez here in Salinas versus Texas from 2013, this is the specific case that I show my audience just absolutely regularly. We go over in great detail, the constitutional question. And once again, conservatives screw us in the Supreme Court every time. They screw the people. They're standing up for gun rights, but they screw us every time. So that is the Fifth Amendment self-incrimination clause protect a defendant refusal to answer questions by a law enforcement officer before he's been arrested or read his Miranda rights. And then it goes down here and it says, the plurality reiterated two exceptions principle that a criminal defendant does not need to take the stand in order to explicitly claim this privilege, and two, failure to claim this privilege must be excused when that failure was due to government coercion. But
you have to, sorry to interrupt, but this is important. This is extremely important, what you're saying right now. You have to physically say the words, because there are two cases that I can think of off the top of my head. This is one of them. And then there's another one. And this will make you fall over and die. To this day, I can't believe it's a real case. A gentleman was being questioned. And he said, during questioning, at some point, he said, "I want my lawyer, dog." Do you know this case?
Go ahead.
I want my lawyer. But what he was saying was hyperbolical. He was just saying, I want my lawyer, dog, probably is what he was saying. You know, the DAWG, referring to the law enforcement agent that is questioning him. Well, the Supreme Court, in their infinite wisdom, looked at that case and said, I want my lawyer, dog, D-O-G, I want my lawyer, dog, is insufficient to invoke Miranda principles.
What the flock are you talking about? What are you even saying right now? You can't say, I want my lawyer, dog, if you don't say, I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent, or I want my lawyer without the dog on the end. So if you
have to drop the dog, you have to drop the dog, because it's got to be a human lawyer, not a canine lawyer, apparently.
And then in this here, it says, long-standing judicial precedent has held any witnesses who desire protection against self-incrimination must explicitly state that protection. And then down here, they call it a privilege.
Explicitly. Exactly. It is a privilege that exists in the United States, and you have to physically invoke it. If you don't say the magic words, you don't get the bean sprout or whatever. The beans are not going to sprout into the magical thing to get you out of it. I'm trying to get the analogy. You guys get it.
Yeah, I just don't understand how you saying, I invoke my Fifth Amendment, dog. I mean, there's
no case on that. There's no case on that. I don't know if that, I think it's the combination of the lawyer and the dog that kind of came together into a perfect storm of a shit show is what it is. But be careful with that. I think it's very case specific. It's very word specific there.
I looked up that term, I want my lawyer, dog, and I can't find the case that connects to it. I would like to know what that case is, but if you know what it is,
suspect asks for a lawyer, dog. Judge says, hold on. Yes, there it is. Yeah.
What case is that?
Let me see if I can. On Friday, Louisiana Supreme Court. This was October 31st, 2017. Here, I'm going to drop the link in the private chat.
Oh, cool. Gotcha. There it is.
I'll wait for you to pull it up so that we can read it together. So I'm not just reading it.
Go ahead. There you go. Go ahead, Larry.
Suspect asks for a lawyer, dog. Judge says he asked for a lawyer, dog. See, that's it. That's right there. There it is. On Friday, the Louisiana Supreme Court declined to hear an important appeal.
Sorry about that. It just threw an ad in there for me.
Yeah, it was like an ad out of nowhere. Declined to hear an important appeal involving a constitutional right to counsel. The case involves a man who voluntarily agreed to speak with the police when Warren DeMesme realized that the cops suspected him of child. I probably don't want to say that word for your YouTube algorithm. Right. He told them, per the trial court transcript, I know that I didn't do it, so why don't you just give me a lawyer, dog? Because this is not what's up. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that when a suspect asks for an attorney, the interrogation must end and a lawyer must be provided. But the police disregarded his request, as they often do, and the trial court ruled that the statements he subsequently made can be used to convict him.
Oh my God.
How insane is that? They appealed, arguing the Fifth and Sixth Amendment right to counsel has been violated. A state appeals court held that they were not, and now the state Supreme Court has declined to review that judgment with only Justice Scott Christian penned a brief opinion concurring to the court's decision not to hear the case. He wrote, apparently in absolute seriousness, that there it is. Oh my God. I literally, every time I read something like this about this case, it just drives me insane. The defendant's ambiguous and equivocal reference to a lawyer dog does not constitute an invocation of counsel that warrants termination of the interview. Like, what the fuck, man?
Wow. That is crazy. And then the opinion here is only 2 pages. If you want to take a look at it, this is the Supreme Court of Louisiana. And then go ahead, Larry, if you want to.
I agree with the courts. Well, this is the concurrence, I think, right? Additional concurrence in a sense. So this is just a portion of it. This is not the actual decision.
Oh, I see. Okay. I'm getting LexisNexis set up right now. I'm getting that artificial intelligence on the LexisNexis.
Oh shit. Nice. I hear they got some good stuff going on.
It's super interesting to me, but this is that the defendant voluntarily agreed to be interviewed twice during his alleged misconduct with minors, and that he was advised of the Miranda rights. The defendant stated he understood and waived those rights. Nonetheless, the defendant invoked his right to counsel, and the basis comes from the second interview where I believe the defendant ambiguously referred to a lawyer, something if that's all you feel and y'all think I did it and I didn't do nothing wrong, then just give me a lawyer dog, because that's not what's up. So what they're saying specifically here, and correct me if I'm wrong, Larry, that if you're not completely literate, if you're not the most literate person ever, that they can then just go around your rights. In the Black community, we know this from the 80s and the 90s with Ebonics. They try to push this, Ebonics type of language. It didn't ever take, but ADOS will still say American descendants of slaves. They'll still say, no, we speak differently than you do. I mean, I've had lots of debates with people who were in BLM when I was on TikTok, and they have this idea. Some of the people over there have the idea that that's how they talk, dog. I need a lawyer, dog. So the Supreme Court is saying that if you are not an elitist and you didn't get a classical education from a traditional schooling, you can't speak.
Wait. Be careful. Be careful how you finish that statement, because that's not what they're saying. What they're saying is, in that one particular instance, the use of the combination of words, lawyer plus dog, together in conjunction created an ambiguity.
Mm-hmm.
So would it be more prominent in to speak like this for a certain demographic of the American public or the world's public? Doesn't matter. Maybe. Sure. It is definitely possible. Does it absolutely limit? And if you're lesser, you received a lesser education, you're guaranteed to? No, of course not. So you got to be careful. But sure. I see where you're going. I just wanted to cut you off to make sure you don't.
No, I appreciate
you're going down the path of like.
Right.
You're on the right path, but the conclusion
we're talking just about this much, though. We're talking specifically about when
this is just the one little, but you bring up an excellent point, is that this individual probably was not the most educated. And the result because he was speaking in, I don't know what the technical term is. I mean, slang is the only word I really can think of. But when you speak in slang, in this case, the Supreme Court said this is clearly, you just read it. I mean, we read it together. Yeah. It's ambiguous and it's equivocal, which means it can be taken 2 different ways. And to them, the United States Supreme Court, or in this case, Louisiana Supreme Court, or the Court of Appeals of Louisiana, said that's not enough. You need to be direct. Like, I want a lawyer, period. And just finish the statement there. Adding on that dog, modified lawyer, and as a result, a bunch of old white men basically decided, you know what, this African-American is insufficient in his English.
Yeah, and so it's like when we go over to TikTok now and I make a video about this, I'm going to have to explain to the Black folks on TikTok that you can't just use any kind of dialect or verbiage or slang that you want when you're invoking your Fifth Amendment right. You have to say, I want my lawyer. I invoke my, I mean, I always say I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. That's how I always say it. So I don't see a reason why on the trifold I have.
But see, that's unequivocal. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. There is no ambiguity there. Like, are you sure you want to remain silent? I don't know. I'm getting kind of a vibe where you may not want to. No.
I want my lawyer, kitty cat. So now you're a cat. But I'm just saying, like, you guys are hearing it directly from the DUI guy. You're hearing from him. You have to say the words properly. You can't add dog or cat or rabbit or yo.
Because cat is another. It's a reference to a cool gentleman, right? Like, I want my lawyer, cat. No, you wouldn't say it like that, but you would be like, But anyway, you get the idea. I was trying to get creative.
Pulling your black card. No, I could hear it. I got this real cool cat, my lawyer. So I want to get my lawyer in here.
But that's not ambiguous, though. That doesn't sound ambiguous.
So if you don't run the words together, it's almost like, hey, that's what did Gaffanakis say? He said the way you break up your words, that's one hell of a crack, baby. Or that's one hell of a crack baby. There's one is a crack baby, one is a crack baby. So you have to make sure that when you're invoking your Fifth Amendment right with coppers, that you say, Fifth Amendment, I invoke my right to remain silent. It's just so plain as day. And I'm super glad that we have you on here to explain this to us. And then, so what about as we go down the arrest? You get pulled over, you invoke your Fifth Amendment right. Cop tells you to step out of the car. We all know about Pennsylvania versus Mims. You have to get out. You get out. Then the cop's going to arrest you. He says, well, if you do these DUI tests for me, then maybe I won't arrest you, or maybe I'll put in a good word to the judge for you. Does any of that hold any water?
None. And police officers will never say that, especially if they're being recorded, because then it's their ass. But yeah.
And then no tests. You don't agree to any tests at all. Nothing whatsoever.
In the jurisdictions where you can refuse, the 39 states where you can, including Kentucky, refuse everything. The breath, the blood, I always get the question of, well, what if they strap me to a gurney, flash a judge's signed warrant in my face, and stick a needle in my arm? Well, at that point, buddy, you're shit out of luck. I'm sorry. There's nothing. You're going to have to fight it in court no matter what. There's this thing that I found out about the first time I came across this. I thought it wasn't real. I thought it was like what's it called? Those fake articles.
The Gazy.
Well, yeah. Is it Babylon? Not Babylon Bee. What am I thinking of? They write like the Onion. There we go. Like right. I thought it was an Onion article when I first saw this. This is 100% real. It's called No Refusal Weekends in Tennessee.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I've heard of that.
I have never in my life. What is a no refusal weekend? Y'all want to know what it is? It is the most insane thing you can possibly conceive of. Here's what happens, okay? It's Friday night. You're at the bar with your friends. You had 2 sips of your Bud Light. Why? Because you're going to be driving. You're the designated driver. You're not interested in partaking in alcohol. You're just having fun. Well, you get behind the wheel of the car. Police officer just saw you walk out of the bar, walk to your car, and drive to and start driving. He follows you. Police officer follows you long enough, you're going to make some sort of traffic violation, whether you like it or not. You didn't use your blinker. He pulls you over. Smells the alcohol on your breath. Have you been drinking? I only had 2 sips. Yeah, he's never going to believe that.
Well, you talked. Shouldn't have talked.
Right. Again, I'm just trying to create a scenario, so please bear with me because I'm getting to the meat. Well, you're like, okay, listen, man, I'm not playing your dog and pony show. I'm not doing your test. Okay, you're coming downtown. Blow into this device or whatever. I'm not blowing into it. I don't think you understand, buddy. It's no refusal weekend. We're under strict orders. If you don't blow into this device, we're going to be forced to extract blood out of you. No, I'm not. I'm refusing your forceful blood draw, and I'm refusing your breath test. Go fuck yourself, Well, here's what's going to happen. They're going to pile on about 6 to 8 officers on you. They have gurneys waiting right around the corner. Resist, don't resist. The option's yours. They basically have a judge on, not retainer. That would be silly to say, but on basically sitting in his office, waiting for these faxes to come in. He just signs them and sends them off. We have an individual we suspect of operating a motor vehicle under the influence. Here are the facts. Fuck it. Who cares about the facts? We just need to extract blood from him, Judge. Can you sign here? And they send it off. Judge signs it on call. Thank you, Shakur Capital. That's the word I was looking for. A judge that's on call. It's going to be there until 7 o'clock in the morning. And when the judges wake up and this one's going to go to bed. And they just carte blanche blanket sign all these warrants for blood. And if you refuse them, in Tennessee, at least for that no refusal weekend, they will strap you to a gurney. Literally, like you can look this up. This is a terrifying image. I don't know if you can find those no refusal weekend gurneys. It's like those. Have you seen? Was it Joaquin Phoenix's Joker where he had the straitjacket? Which any movie where there's like a straitjacket is literally the first thing I think of when I see these. There was like a really good image. I can't find it right now. Oh, there it is. Found it.
Yeah, share that with me. Let me see that. Put that in the private chat, and I'll click it.
It's small, but you might be able to zoom in.
That's all right. Let's see if we can take a look at it.
But this is one of them. It's actually some lawyer in.
Oh, I do see it.
Oklahoma.
That looks terrible. So, do you know those states off the top of your head? I'm not sure if you guys can see this or not. Let me open this bad chicken.
The 11.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's what they're gonna do to you. You see, you're tied up. You're literally, your feet are. This is probably an individual who was like, "I'm not doing it. I am refusing. You're not getting my blood." And you can see there, you have one big police officer on the left, another big police officer on the right. You can tell these are heavy boys. You know what I'm saying? These are like 225 a pop that are probably going to sit on you if you don't cooperate. Then you have the gentleman all the way near I think it's a lady. It looks like a female. I'm not sure. By her head, and then you can't see them. They're kneeling, probably trying to like get a vein in her left arm to try. There's another fourth police officer kneeling, trying to extract the blood from the suspect. I mean, literally strapped down to a gurney and forcefully extracting blood out of you.
Did you read this on the side? Did you hear what this said? This said this initiative comes on the heels of an April U.S. Supreme Court decision that put a stop to most forced blood draws unless they obtain a warrant first. And you just kind of laid it out for us that there's a judge sitting on standby just to rubber stamp it.
Rubber stamping. Oh, we need a warrant? No problem. We'll get that done in 5 seconds. That's it.
The new requirement for a warrant was scarcely a speed bump for police agencies. Prior to July 4th weekend, officials with Trooper F, headquartered in Ardmore, Oklahoma, announced plans for a zero-tolerance, zero-refusal strike teams that would not take no for an answer when they asked drivers to take a chemical test during DUI stop. Now, Trooper F commander wants to make no-refusal DUI policy standard operating procedure, that you just have to take it. Captain Ronnie Hampton, Trooper F, told a reporter for a drone TV station that he's talking with judges and district attorneys in areas about implementing a year-round no-refusal policy. Under Troop F's no-refusal policy, when drivers refuse to take a blood or breath test, officers use laptop computers to obtain a search warrant. Once the warrant's issued, officers will forcibly obtain a sample of blood.
Forcibly being the operative word. Forcibly. You can't say no. You can't be like... It's funny, by the way. In Kentucky, we kind of have a similar system when it comes to the blood, but here's the catch. I've had clients actually refuse the warrant, and the cops don't know what to do. Because
refuse the warrant. What does that mean?
I literally exactly what you're hearing. Give me your breath. No. Okay. Give me your blood. No. All right. Hey, I'm going to get a warrant for your blood. All right. Judge, I have a suspect. I need a warrant to extract blood from them. Okay, no problem. Signed. Here you go. I have a signed warrant to extract your blood, sir or madam. No. And they just don't know what to do. I've had at least 2 of those phone calls, maybe 3.
Well, they're going to forcibly grab you and strap you down with multiple men and shackle you. But they don't?
but they don't. At least the cases that I have seen in Kentucky.
Interesting.
I don't know why. I don't know. Again, maybe because we're 47th, like I said previously. But yeah, I don't know. Actually, I did have one case in 2014 when this thing was becoming popular. Back then, the Kentucky laws were even more. This is back when we were 49th in penalties. In 2014, I got a case, and it was exactly that. My client literally got strapped down. 6 officers held him down, extracted blood from him by force, and it was bad. Oh, God. I don't even want to share the story. I've shared it on a few occasions. I think I shared it on my channel too. But, it's such a bad case. And it was like a commercial driver's license operator. I mean, alcoholic. He's just a career alcoholic. There's nothing you can do there. This Mongolian fella, just could not be friends with alcohol for the life of him. And, it's one thing to drink and drive. It's another thing to drink while driving.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he was doing the latter. I mean, Captain Morgan bottle literally sitting in the cup holder. It was so fucking bad.
I have friends like that. I know a couple of people like that.
And he's a career, he's looking at losing his career over this because it's his second DUI for a CDL. That's it. That's kaput for the rest of your life in the United States if you get a second DUI as a CDL holder. He hires me, and I do find this issue that they strapped him down and they extracted blood by force, filed motions. And the morning of my suppression hearing, the prosecutor makes us an offer we can't refuse. Saving his career, saving his life, saving his future. I'm still very proud of that moment because I did my job.
Well, you got his career to be saved, man.
I saved his career. Yeah. But and again, is it one of those like, am I going to lose sleep at night from, I represented someone of a non-lawyerly or judicial persuasion, I guess would say, like, you represented a guilty person, right? Well, again, call it what you will. Am I losing sleep over it? Absolutely not. I did my job. But is it scary to think about that I put him back on the road? Maybe. He's not been in the news since, so
that's up to him. So
there's nothing I can do there.
Let's take a step back to that mandatory draw of my blood. Now, I can verbally say, I'm not going to take your breath test. I can verbally say, I'm not going to give you my blood. And when they go grab me and put their hands on me, I teach my flock not to fight police. You give the basic resistance, which is I'm not just going to turn around and put my hands behind your back. As soon as they grab you with multiple people or they get physically violent with you, at that point, stop. Don't get into anything further. I'm just not going to turn around, put your hand.
Do you remember? Sorry, case in point, there was that one guy. There was a video circulating, 2020, 2021. He's in the jail. They're asking him to give his blood, and they basically pin him down and they kill him.
Yeah,
because they put too much pressure on his chest. He couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
Do you remember that case?
Yeah.
Not George Floyd. Not George Floyd.
The guy in jail.
This is the guy in jail. There's
they
like
rushed
a nurse.
his cell with a bunch of people and they pushed down on him. Is that the one?
Yes. Yeah. And he dies.
20 cases I'm thinking of in my head, though.
It's possible. I just remember this one specifically because it was exactly to your point. Once they say, give me your blood, and we have a warrant and you can't refuse, all bets are off. You stop there and you're like, and now I don't know if there's an English term for it, but what I'm thinking of in Russian, you're phlegma, right? Phlegma means you're in Hebrew smartut. You're a washcloth. There you go. You become a washcloth, right? Just like I'm not here to bother anybody. I'm not here to offer resistance. I'm just a washcloth. Just do whatever you got to do. Just please don't fucking kill me.
Right.
That would be definitely my advice as well. Yeah.
But how do we fight? I mean, a lot of people don't understand the reason why I used to show all these videos of people getting killed and beat up in jail, and YouTube has just given me copyright strikes, and now they're threatening to delete my channel. And so I've had to just kind of take a different road so that I can continue to have a voice and help as many people as I can. I had to change my style completely. I now no longer show those videos anymore because I get copyright strike. And so this is absolute tyranny. And what you're saying right here and what we've learned today from Larry is that the mandatory blood draw on the side of the road, the no refusal weekend, comes from one case called Terry versus Ohio in 1968, expanded into the 1990 case of Sitz versus Michigan State Police, which allows DUI checkpoints in America. And now from Terry v. Ohio to Sitz to now where we are in 2023, now the police can just push a button on their phone, a judge gets it, and they sign off that the cop is suspicious enough of you that they can strap you down to a gurney and take your blood. This is Terry versus Ohio. I just want to point it out. People
Expanded.
people often come to me and talk about qualified immunity. This isn't qualified immunity. This is Terry versus Ohio. How can they stop you on suspicion? Terry. How can they put up a DUI checkpoint? Terry. How can they mandatorily draw your blood? Because of an extension of Terry and their suspicion clause in Terry versus Ohio. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. And this is the whole reason I do what I do. This just beyond stresses me out. And let's see if there's a list of states that have list all states that do, what's it called?
No refusal weekends? Or...
No refusal weekend DUI. Illinois' no refusal weekend.
So we know Tennessee, Illinois, Oklahoma, which is where that article
Texas.
Texas.
That's just let me open up the screen so they can see it. No refusal weekends in are notorious, higher than average. They include St. Patrick's Day, Independence Day,
4th of July.
Man, list states that do no refusal.
No, I don't think. I think you just went a step too far. I don't know if that exists, but I could be wrong. Because no refusal period.
There it is. Arizona, Florida, Idaho, Illinois, Kansas, Louisiana, Missouri, Texas, and Utah conduct no refusal initiatives.
There you go.
We're missing Oklahoma?
Why is Tennessee and Oklahoma not listed? I don't know.
Tennessee and Texas, none of those are listed in there.
No, Texas is listed.
Oh, is it in
Missouri,
there? Yeah,
Missouri,
Texas right there.
Yeah, but still, I mean, irrelevant.
But they can set up a no refusal for us so that, Larry, you tell me, but from my study of the Constitution, from the 1915 case of Hendricks versus Maryland, 1915, they've just circumvented our constitutional rights. If you're driving a car, you lose all rights if you're driving a car. Why?
There's a lesser expectation of privacy. Yeah, that's what they determined.
This kind of stuff stresses me out and pisses me off. Like how in the hell so when I'm pulled over in DUI checkpoint, I immediately give them my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. And so far they've said, have a nice night and let me go. As soon as I put the Fifth Amendment in their face on my camera. But it seems like if I'm in Tennessee or Texas or Oklahoma or Utah and they say, how you doing tonight? You've been drinking. And I say, I plead the Fifth Amendment. They can then just strap me down to a gurney.
Yep. Welcome to the United States of America.
Larry, it's been a pleasure. Anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to add that you want to try? You guys get over to Larry's page and subscribe to his YouTube page. This guy is an absolute monster. I mean, this guy's an absolute monster in the space that we all care the most about, which is our civil liberties. So I'm going to drop his link in the comments right now. You guys, here's the link to the DUI guy. Get over there, subscribe to his page. And what do I ask you to do all the time? Drop some comments, algorithm, like the video, share his videos. Like that's how we beat this YouTube algorithm that suppresses any kind of freedom fighter, especially someone teaching you not to take any breath tests, not to take any tests, do not comply to anything, plead the fifth, shut up, take the ride to jail, and then have your lawyer fight you to get you free. I mean, that's pretty much I sum up what you teach, isn't it?
That's literally our 2-hour conversation in a 15-second digest version. Thank you for that. That's perfect. It really is.
I'm super grateful for coming on. You have an open invitation anytime you want to come back on. Anytime you get a big case and you want to get it further, please use this channel as a conduit to reach out to more people.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. You asked me if I have any parting words. Yeah. So just for those of you new subscribers, if we do have any new subscribers in your chat to my channel, thank you again for the plug. there will be, so I just had a couple of trials recently, and I already posted the cross-examination of one of the officers. And in the other case, I have not posted anything yet. So I have a bunch of stuff coming.
Which video is that? Is it recently the cross-examination?
It's the last one right there. Yeah. Watch how to break a confident and knowledgeable police officer in half on the witness stand.
So this is an hour long. We will break this down. Team DLZ. We will sit down and break this down one day. Go ahead, sir.
It's a little clickbaity. I will be completely honest. Okay. The title is intended for clicks, but the content itself is real. This is a real courtroom case. My client ended up doing 120 days. He's actually still serving because this just happened October 30th. He's been in 30. He's got 90 more to go. We're probably going to move for a shock probation or something the first of the year, just so that he doesn't have to sit there and suffer. But 60 days minimum he's got to serve. It's a DUI third in my defense, and it was a very, very difficult case. But we almost won. Actually, I know it sounds like, this is not horseshoes or hand grenades. And Larry, why are you trying to like justify your loss? I'm not. It's 100% earned loss. But in speaking with the jury afterwards, they actually did say that they really, really, really wanted to acquit, but they just didn't feel like they had enough. They needed something more to tie our client's story, which they believed, but they also needed like a physical piece of evidence to make it to give veracity. I don't know. They just didn't have enough. They were missing one little piece, which we didn't have. It doesn't exist. Like I couldn't magically procure it because my client didn't have anything, and I can't present anything that my client doesn't have. I can't create evidence. I'm not the government.
You can't just create your own evidence.
You can't just create your own evidence unless you're a government, right? And that case was, but it was a phenomenal case. And actually the prosecutor has given me one of the best compliments I've ever received from anyone ever, that my associate relayed to me. So I'm very, very proud of that case, regardless of the loss. But so that is posted. And then we had another one. It was another, I'm telling you, there's like loss after loss, but they're like this one was like no jail time. It was a fantastic case. Again, also like almost won, blah, blah, blah. I could go on forever.
Which one is that? Which one is the other one?
This one is not posted yet. So this one is something you have to look forward to as a new subscriber.
Can't wait.
There's like another one that I had recently. It's not a trial. It was going to go to trial. And we moved for a dismissal, and the judge decided not to grant it. So I'm going to be posting that. And then this is completely off the beaten path. For those of you who recognize me from the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial, because I was in Virginia for a couple of weeks during that trial in April, May 2022. I've been kind of alluding that I'm going to do this, and I keep pussyfooting around it just because it's just such a momentous project. But there are transcripts of the UK trial, the United Kingdom trial, of Johnny Depp suing The Sun, which is the newspaper that called him a wife beater.
Yeah.
And he ended up losing that case. And I want to go through the transcripts, and I don't want to just go through them. I want to go through them word for word, page by page, live, because I don't think this task has ever been undertaken by anyone, and do a deep dive. And what scares me the most, the reason maybe why I haven't really undertaken it just yet, is the thing that scares me the most is like, I don't know British law, and there's going to be a lot of nuances that I'm going to be like, oh, this would never happen in the United States. And somebody from Great Britain be like, this guy's an idiot. Like, he doesn't even understand basic British laws. And I'm like, well, no, I don't. I don't practice in Great Britain. There's kind of that element that's kind of dissuading me, but I'll still do my best, Yeah. I think it would be a lot of fun, and it's going to be
break down the whole thing.
I'm going to break down the whole thing. It's going to take us through winter. If and when I finally decide to do it, it's going to, I do need a wig. Mark Bear. That's unacceptable to do this.
You need a barista wig from the UK court.
Yes.
Well, there's been this ongoing war on men. I mean, since social media is now correcting that. And there's a lot of women who follow my channel that are in the chat, And a lot of the women are no longer buying this garbage that we're, horrible people and we're brutish and cruel. And it was just a power grab so you can get more women in government, more women in powerful positions. And, for alpha women, more power to them, if that's it. But you didn't have to bash us to do it. You didn't have to say, 1 out of 3 men are rapists. It's like, what? So I'm standing in a circle with 3 guys. I'm like, all right, which of us is it? It's just, they just created this, that men are bad through, and it's been going on through the 80s and the 90s. Remember the Cosby Show, Dr. Huxtable, even though we know Dr. Huxtable is now an actual, freak. But even then, he was the dumb moron, Family Ties, all these shows that showed the guy was dumb and all the women knew. And it's just not true. There's smart women and dumb women and smart men and dumb men. And so I'm happy to hear that you're going to cover that, because every guy in America was like, yeah, she chopped his finger off. Like, she smashed a bottle and cut the guy's finger off. And I was so happy to see him finally win. And she's like the epitome of what a succubus is. She took all the life out of him, took his jobs, and then left him dry with nothing and pale white.
Did you know that she actually has a legitimate, real, unequivocal, there's that word now again, cult following on Twitter?
Of women?
Yes.
Right, who just hate men.
I like to call them feminazis.
Yeah.
Because that is exactly who they are. They are misandrist, men-hating, queen-loving, because they call her like mother, which is really weird because some of these women are older than Amber and they're calling her mother. But anyway, I'm just saying, because as soon as I announced, they love coming after anyone who touches their queen bee in the wrong way, right? And I don't mean like that. I mean like wants to say bad things publicly about her.
Yeah.
And if you come too close to the line, they will start fucking with you. Like, they have doxed people in the past. They have left negative reviews on my business page. You can literally look this up. There's like 5 1-star reviews from people I've never represented in my career. And they admitted to it. There's actually, I tweeted about it maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, of one of them. I think it was like Veracity or some other Maggie May. There's like several of them that are like the key players, and they all but admit, like literally in the tweet, she's like, well, how do you like them apples when somebody fucks with your life, after somebody mentioned about the negative reviews and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, it's one thing to have like a war in a public forum.
Right.
That's fine. Mm-hmm. But when you're like, what can I do to ruin his future? And I'm like, oh, give me a taste, man. Give me a fucking taste. Let's fucking go.
Well, like, I mean, yeah, I understand. I can tell you I understand. Remember, I went through cancel culture in 2021. I was literally canceled off of TikTok, kicked off.
Oh, shit.
If you look up my name right now on the internet, ChilleDeCastro, it'll say that I'm a racist. It was before 2021 was the last year where you could call someone a racist and that would just bury them. Mm-hmm. But when I was on TikTok in 2021, after teaching that most of the laws in our country were created for Black people and now they're used on all of us, I had a mix up with a rapper named Talib Kweli, and he said something to me, and I said, hey, let's talk about Terry versus Ohio. And he said, stay out of Black issues, you racist. So then I wrote him back. I said, well, then get on your knees and get used to hearing that, because that's what Terry versus Ohio is. He took a screenshot of that, me saying, well, then get on your knees and get used to it, and saying, look at what ChilleDeCastro said to a Black man. He's a racist. And then the other creators on TikTok who were in the civil rights space, they all jumped on and they made videos about me saying how I was a racist.
Yeah, give them content and they'll run with it.
10,000 people texting me, tweeting at me, 10,000 people calling my mother, my family, my jobs, investors. Like, you can't even imagine it. It got to a point where I actually had believed in my mind. There's a video of me, like when I was training, I got myself to shape where I was like 20-year-old wrestling in college. I was down to 185 pounds, got my gun out, started shooting every day, getting used to shooting again. And you know what? They never show up. It's just a internet mob of people who see someone that's called a racist and they go, "Oh, they're a racist? You racist piece of shit." They don't look at your work. They have no idea what you do for people who get DUIs. They just know you're against the grain on Amber Heard. And so they're going to, they did everything they could to me. Like, you name it, they did it. Like, you name it, and it happened to me when I went through cancel culture. It was absolutely horrible. Now, when I see people going through cancel culture and like, "Oh, cancel this person," I'll go to their Instagram or their Twitter and I'll say, "This too shall pass. I don't know if you're guilty or innocent, but I know what's happening to you is not fair." And I do it every time now since 2021. I don't care what the person did. I don't care if they're caught saying the N-word on camera or caught saying some Jewish and anti-Semitic thing. I don't know what their kind of place they're in when they said what they said, but that's not who they are. They got a bad moment captured on camera. Remember, this guy just took a screenshot of what I said. And all of a sudden, all the teachings I broke down, all the Supreme Court cases that were passed against black men, I'm now a racist. And there's, to this day,
none of it matters. Yeah, none of it matters at that point, because that one snapshot, it's what is the most. This is the problem with virality. Is that a word? It is now. Virality is that when you make videos every day for 1,000 days, you're teaching people and you're educating the public and you're doing good deeds and you're giving out free stuff, whatever it is, you're trying to help people. But then one day, you say one thing and taken out of context, it's going to look really, 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 really bad.
Right.
But it's really easy to digest because it's one screenshot.
Right.
What are those 1,000 videos worth now? No one is going to spend 500 hours watching these videos where all they have to do is read 5 seconds worth of text and know everything about you.
Right. And they can jump on the bandwagon. You're putting yourself right in the middle of that culture war, though. You're putting yourself right in the middle of that with Amber Heard. Same thing with Taylor Swift. You better not say anything about Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
They
inundate. Don't get me started.
Before I was known in 2017 or 18, I've had like 7 or 8 Facebook pages. I get to 5,000 friends, I delete it. I get to 5,000 friends, I delete it. And now I'm at 5,000 friends again. I'm not going to delete it because I'm now a known person. But 2017 or 18, I said something about, Taylor. It was just kind of offhanded comment. Like, she makes $50,000 a minute. Like, what are we talking about here? And boy, I got just inundated my Facebook page with all these people saying I was bashing Taylor. I said, no, I said she makes $50,000 an hour. She can afford it. I can't remember the context, but that's exactly what I said. Hundreds of girls came and said horrible things to me. I don't know. I mean, and that Facebook page has since been deleted. But yeah, you're going to get the same thing with Amber Heard, though. So just brace yourself.
I've been getting it. No, dude, I've been getting it since I did all the appeal work. I'm a nerd, so I literally enjoy. This is my claim to fame. You ready? Like, legitimately, this is why I think this project is going to be incredible. I really do. I'm just delaying the inevitable, I guess. I have a skill, okay? I'm going to toot my own horn for just a second here, okay? I do have a skill. I didn't know it existed until I actually put it into practice. I have a skill where I can take dry, boring, piss court documents and make it entertaining.
Right.
Don't ask me how I do it. Once I get into the flow, once I get into the groove, it's just, I add a little bit of humor. I'll add a little bit of spice. I'll make it funny. I'll make it stupid. I'll make faces. I'll make voices. I'll make noises. I will react to things. Like, you'll see me reading and like immediately have this weird reaction. Like, what is this? This is insanity. What is happening over here? I add flavor. I make it entertaining.
Right.
So that's what really kept me sane during the Amber Heard, Johnny Depp era, when I was reading like the appeal briefs. Like, my God, this is actually a year ago today. A year ago today is when I was going through that stuff. Or I will never forget Thanksgiving. Like, the day before Thanksgiving and like maybe Thanksgiving Day is when I did like Amber Heard's reply to Johnny Depp's appeal brief, which was the most insane read of all time. It's on my channel under the playlists of Johnny Depp, Amber Heard trial and appeal playlist. But yeah, I mean, I'll probably have to create a new playlist because I don't want to clog up that one.
Created playlists right here.
I'll have to create a new. There, right there. It's the one with the white background. You can't miss it. Right there, Johnny Depp.
Nice.
This is one of the first ones. I don't know. They might be out of order. Yeah, they're out of order.
Yeah, they're over here. They're over here on the right hand side.
We talk about ACLU, James from Court deciphering the jury instructions, the verdict watch, of course. I mean, you can see some streams there for like 7.5 hours.
Wow,
that's when we're waiting for the verdict. Oh yeah. No, most of it is just like sitting and waiting on those 7-hour ones and like analyzing the interviews, things that are happening, appeal updates, blah blah blah. Amber Heard potentially missing her deadline. Johnny's brief is absolutely nuts. I'm so proud of that title. Like that's just perfect, you know. But anyway, you are the man. I swear to God.
There's a game here. We have to play it. It's unfortunate, but we have to play the game. It's sad. It's sad that you know, I have to continually come back to people and say, hey, make sure you like, comment, and share videos. You know, all I want to do is help people. I just put my life online where I travel around the country, what I know about constitutional law. And it sucks that these social media companies that I've had to change the way I present. I can't even present cases anymore of abuse because they just are going to delete my channels. And I've been deleted 2 or 3 times already now. I would be well over 1 million subscribers on any network if I wasn't deleted from 2021. I got 300,000 subscribers on TikTok in 2 weeks. And then as soon as I got the 300,000, I was just constantly deleted, shadow banned, suspended for a week, shadow banned, suspended for a week. So it's just really frustrating that we're constantly fighting the social media companies who we're fighting our government, because we know from the Twitter files, it was packed full of FBI and CIA. Well, then you could just extrapolate that and say Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, maybe Twitter's not anymore, but they were inundated just like J. Edgar Hoover did in 1924. He inundated the telecommunication companies with FBI agents. They had FBI rooms in Bell Communications where they would catch Roy Olmsted in the 1927 case of Olmsted versus United States. And they just simply tapped into his phone and listened in, and he was bootlegging alcohol. He was a copper. And then he got arrested. Supreme Court upheld his conviction, which then it taught the country. They just convicted 11 cops out of Seattle for bootlegging alcohol. Alcohol is illegal now and forever. And the people in America believed that they would never get to have a drink again. So it's a constant battle. It's a never ending battle. It really is. And it's tough too, because like even you, before we met, you thought I was literally crazy. You thought I was just some crazy person ranting and raving on camera. Not at all. I have a mom and a dad and sisters and brothers, and I love them all and they love me. And I'm a regular person. I just got railroaded too many times.
In my defense, okay, you gotta understand my perspective because you don't know this. I'm about to tell you. The first video I clicked on, and I can't remember, it must have been on YouTube, is literally the minute I start the video, it's you and the phone, right? You're holding it and you're talking to it. So we see your face. And there's like a bunch of cops right here. And the first words out of your mouth on this video are like, fuck you, pig. I don't have to fucking listen to you. You don't have no control over me. You have no right. And I'm like, I don't know if this is a good idea.
I try not to use the F-bomb anymore just because my videos are already all demonetized, but I don't have any respect for cops. You know,
I know that. You don't have to tell me twice. I saw it firsthand.
They sign up.
I was literally like, is this guy like? Am I going to be interviewed by a zombie? Like, did he die by these? And he's not. You know, he's alive.
No, I'm a pretty smart person. I just can't stand.
You're
that
passionate.
That a free man or a free woman would sign up to those lists of policies, procedures, and protocols. You could fire every pig in America and you hire all new pigs. And if you keep the same policies, procedures, and protocols, you're going to end up with the exact same system where you can't get anybody to sign up anymore. Because the idea of, I wrestled and fought my entire life. I mean, I was tough before I knew I was smart. I didn't even know I was smart till I was 40 years old. And then when I was 40 years old and I started reciting Supreme Court case law in front of people, they were like, holy shit, how do you know all that? And I said, I've known it
40 so I can be smart too. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, are you still in your 30s?
Yeah.
How old are you now?
35. I have to think about that for a
second.
second.
I got you by 14. I'm 49 years old, brother.
So at 50, do you become extra smart?
Oh, I become extra smart. You actually get a little. You get a little token right at the top of your head.
Token on the
little token. You actually have
Elon Musk. It connects you to the Neuralink.
I got the Neuralink. I'm going to learn how to fly a helicopter. Just going to download it.
Matrix style shit.
No, I just look, Larry, the policies, procedures, and protocols that the police agreed to sign up to do are barbaric, inhumane, and brutal. And any human being that signs up for those policies, procedures, and protocols, when I see them face to face, I don't have to have seen what you did previously. I don't have to know anything about you. I know that you're wearing that uniform and you have torture cuffs on the front of your jacket. You're my enemy. You're my enemy because you're going to hurt somebody today. You will hurt somebody. And they go around and they say stupid shit like I have the right to go home safe to my family after they put you in torture cuffs, treat you so inhumanely, and then drop you off at the most dangerous place in the world for an American in any jail or prison in our country. It is the most dangerous place ever. You know, I fled Ohio. They were going to arrest me for peacefully protesting and revoke my bond for peacefully protesting. I had to leave the state. Lawrence County Jail, 24 people a year die. I interviewed the family members of dead people from the jail. And if they can't kill you in jail like Larry Kinzer, they'll kill you when you get out of jail. So it's just we live in a broken system, and sometimes it takes broken people to fix a broken system. And I definitely am a broken person because I don't trust the government. I don't trust police. I have zero faith in this system at all. The only way I can see it is to become governor and change the policies, procedures, and protocols from the top down. And that's why I have so many trolls and so many people hate me.
And that's why you'll never get elected, because you want to uproot the system, and the system is not ready for it yet.
Not yet. Coming.
You know, the word
never, though. Don't say never.
No, not never. Not never. No. I'm sorry. Did I say never? I didn't mean to say never. If I did, I said the system is not ready for it, I believe is what I said.
Listen, until you lay out a new system and you show people what the new system actually is, people will only change if they believe they're a part of the program, if they're helping implement the program, and that the program is their idea. And I studied change for 9 months straight. I've still tried to get Constitutional Law Scholar off the ground, but there's so many things I have to do. There's people who need my help every single day. Every single day. Wait till you,
sir.
I mean, you know what I mean? It's just, I'm just doing the best I can with what I've got. But bringing a guy like you on who is the opposite of me, who works within the system, who's credible, that's been practicing law for years, that is at the peak of their career, and you're saying the same things this broken anti-government guy is saying. You're saying the same things I say. Shut your front door. Don't say a word. Don't agree to any tests. Just let them do what they're going to do to you and then get to court.
Yep.
I mean, we say the same things. Is that pretty much close?
It's not close. I think it's identical.
Yeah. And I'm not even a lawyer. This guy's the smart lawyer.
Smart is a loaded term. I'm not 40 yet.
I take that as an ageist jab, Larry.
No, to the contrary. I'm not sufficiently intelligent to rise to your level, oh sir.
When you get to 40, though, you hit 40, you get that little token in the back of the head. You'll ding, and then you get wisdom. And then at 50, you get a double wisdom token.
That's incredible. Like, I gotta wait. It's a time game.
I'll let you go, Larry. Thanks for coming on the show.
No, thanks for having me, man. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun on my channel. Feel free to check it out. If not, totally cool too. And thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah, and you could take this video and take clips of it. You can do anything you want with this video. I openly release this to you anytime you want to use anything.
Graciously appreciate it, honestly. We have too many copyright cucks out there. And by the way, I'm guilty of saying, before I understood, like years and years and years ago, people would like clip my stuff, and sometimes I would copyright strike people because I didn't like my content being stolen.
Right.
I was an idiot. I didn't realize that this actually gives me more exposure by more people sharing your stuff.
Right.
Like, anyway, I don't copyright strike unless you're like literally just stealing word for word all my stuff without giving any credit. Or, I mean, that's obvious. I think anybody would understand you're in the right. But anyway, I really appreciate. Thanks for having me, and I'm gonna leave you to your show, man.
I'll leave you go. Thanks, Larry. See you soon.
Bye, everybody.
So that's Larry, everybody. Do me a favor, put a 1 in the chat and say, thank you, Larry. I mean, what a gracious guy to come on here and spend 2.5 hours with us. Like this dude is, I watched so many of his videos, that this guy is saying what we are working with each other, what we're teaching each other constantly. Because remember, we're always learning. We're all scholars. Every one of us is a scholar. Let me read the free list. I'm sending off free cop cards. I'm sending off this 5th Amendment cop card. Let me read the list here of people who've ordered. If you ordered anything during my live stream, go to my website right now and order something for my live stream. And so that's going to be Toby L, Robert F, Wesley, Murley, Aragon, Mr. Trinity, Mr. Johnson, Willie W. How you doing, man? And then Daryl and James. Those people all ordered things during my live stream. And for each and every one of you, I'm going to send you the Fifth Amendment cop card for free. I'm going to send this to you for free. Every single person. If you guys want a free Fifth Amendment cop card, you have to go to my website right now during the live stream to deletelaws.com. Get this trifold that I print and I ship to you from California. Get this trifold. And then I'm going to email you the PDF. So you'll have the badass one on indestructible paper, and then you'll have the PDF in your inbox. So if you lose it, you can just print out another one. But I'm only giving these away for free during my live stream. Otherwise, you got to buy it. I'm only giving away free trifolds, digital, free Fifth Amendment cop cards digitally that you print at home during my live stream. So let me check my email real quick, and let me read off a list of names of people who I'm giving free trifolds to. I'm going to leave that tab open because I want to read it. I want to read that case that he just showed us. And so now on deletelaws.com, holy smokes. I'm so sorry. I'll read some of these. Wayne, Jim, James, Brenda, Bobby, Barrick, Jim, Robin, Laura, Robert again, Kevin, Kenny, Kenneth, Thompson, Raphael. All you folks requested free Fifth Amendment cop cards from me. I will send. I'll send you guys it in the email because you guys just requested the stuff for free. I can't. You guys have to purchase something for me to be able to afford to mail these out. I hope you guys can understand that. I'm doing the best I can. A lot of people get mad at me and say that, hey, I didn't get my free stuff, and please try to take a different tone. You don't know of any other creator who gives away their products for free. So try to remember that I'm just one person, and I want to give away as many free things as I can, but I can't dedicate my life to giving away free things and clicking all day long. So if you're during my live stream, I do have the WordPress. I can show you guys a screenshot of this, but all those people's names I'm going to email you my free stuff. You have to print it out and laminate it yourself. The trifold is not laminated. Please don't think it's laminated. It's not. It's just on indestructible paper, which means it has a certain coating on it. So if you spill your coffee on it, you can just wipe it off. If you crumple it, you can uncrumple it pretty easily. But sure, you can tear it into pieces if you try to. 100% you can. It won't last you for the rest of your life, but it'll last a couple of years. So, I just want to be as honest as I can with all you guys. I went downtown Los Angeles today and I bought 2 dozen XXX, 2 dozen XX, 2 dozen XL sweatshirts, and then 1 dozen t-shirts of large. And so I will have sweatshirts in soon. As soon as I have them in, I will let you guys know, and you guys can get them. You got to listen to me about the sweatshirts. They go in like 3 days. 3 days. I can't keep sweatshirts in. And then I'm spending time rolling them, wrapping them, packing them, putting on the label, which I'm not going to do that. I have an assistant. He's going to do that. And so, yeah, but you get to my website during the live stream right now, deletelaws.com, order a trifold, an indestructible trifold. Got your trifold yesterday, huh? Happy to hear it. Yeah, my shipping snafu is now at an end. So if you ordered between November 1st and November 14th, you may, if you haven't heard from me by now, which I talk about this every day because it took over my whole life. If you haven't got your trifold yet, reach out to me. I'll send it again. I'll send it, but those hoodies are coming out this next week. Yeah, Mark got the Fifth Amendment cop card. Yeah, this Fifth Amendment cop card, the driver and non-driver. Look, I want to give these to you. As a matter of fact, I've given away at least 2 dozen cards to people who never bought anything from me because I want you to get it. I want this in your wallet. I want you to be like, look what I got from Delete Laws. I want you guys to have this in your wallet. I want you to have this. These don't do me any good sitting here. What good do these do? These are all cards. What good do they do sitting here? How many people am I helping with me holding a box of cards? Nobody. Nobody's getting helped. Nobody has a guide to go down. Nobody does. So let me check my order form again. I just want to stay true to my word. I'm only going to do this during my live stream. So the last one I have is Toby 109. That's the last one I have for the free card. Toby 109. And then I have Brian 110. So Brian B 110, I'm sending you the Fifth Amendment cop card, bro. I'm sending you both the driver and non-driver cop card. 100%. Anybody who buys anything from my website is getting both the driver and non-driver cop card. Anybody, I don't care what you buy. I just need to be able to cover my costs. I can't put out $6,000 for these cards and then give them. I'm just like you. I'm a regular person, but I literally get people who are mad at me that they didn't get their free stuff. And that's got to stop. If you can list just one other person who gives away all their products for free, then I'm more than willing to hear your argument, but nobody does what I do. So I literally want to help you. I want you to have my Fifth Amendment cop card. I want you to have it. I want you to have it. What's the matter? You said, oh, you printed out the poster? Yeah, the poster, which by the way, the people who ordered things today, I'm going to have to do it when I'm off the live stream because I've been on for 4 hours to 3.5 hours. But this poster is the dopest thing that you will put in if you care about civil rights, if you care about civil liberties, and you love talking about Supreme Court case law and history, blackface, iconic leaders. I mean, like there's just John Brown. I mean, Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony. If you go into the founding fathers and Montesquieu and John Jay, and this is actually Marbury and Marbury versus Madison right there. And so when you get into this poster that I give away for free to you for purchasing anything from my website, I sell the poster for $20. I give it away for free if you purchase anything because I want you to have my stuff. I want you to have it. People come around later and donate $5 and like, hey man, I got some free stuff from you 3 weeks ago. I sent you $5. And I'm like, dude, thank you. Thank you. So, and, I don't see it that way, Chris. Chris said, I bet those cheap asses don't give away stuff and money for free. I don't necessarily see it as people who are cheap. I see it as America is struggling because the Supreme Court, this list of Supreme Court, the top band right here is all the Supreme Courts we've had. What they've done is they've systematically made it so it's a country for only the rich. Only the top 1% can really make a living. I'm not in the top 10. I think I'm in the top 10%. I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe I am. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I don't know. I know I'm not in the top 1%. I know that. For me, 49 years old, to be in the top 1%, I have to make $600,000 a year. I'm not even close. So if I make the top 10%, that would be amazing. But listen, you guys know me with my high blood pressure and the way I put myself in harm's way. If I make it to 70, I'll be stoked. I'll be stoked. I'm pretty sure my uncle-in-law died today, and I'm going to have to deal with that phone call with my mother. I couldn't take it earlier. I'm not ready to take that phone call right now, but it's going to be tough for me. I'm sure I'm going to cry my eyes out here when I get off this live stream, but go to my website now. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll leave it open for the next 30 minutes. It's 5:42 right now here on the West Coast. I'll leave it open for 30 more minutes. If you order anything from my website in the next 30 minutes after I finish the live, I'll mail you in the mail the Fifth Amendment driver and non-driver cop card for free. I'll leave it open for 30 more minutes because I didn't get a chance to do what I usually do where I show you guys and then I do a promo. Hey, get a cop card. I didn't give it that chance because I was talking to Larry DUI guy. What a great dude, man. And you guys heard it, we're fundamentally different. That guy got a good education in a school. I didn't get that. I'm autodidactic. I learned everything on the internet myself. I learned some things in college, but, it's just, thanks, Katie. Appreciate you. Yeah. I don't want to talk about it right now because I don't want to cry, but I guarantee you when I get my mom on the phone here in a little while, it's going to be super, super tough. It's going to be tough. Let me refresh my orders and announce any more names if anybody ordered. Brian B was the last one, which was 110, Brian B. And then I got two more. I got Cammie, and I got Sarah. Sarah B and Cammie C, both y'all, you're getting the Fifth Amendment cop cards for free. And by the way, there's no delay. I ship these tonight. I'll have these envelopes filled out tonight. If you ordered a trifold for me, it might take you longer to get the trifold from my factory because as soon as I get your address, I ship this. I ship it immediately. No delay. I'm not going to do it. And next year I may be shipping trifolds. I can't have order snafus. I can't have things make mistakes like they have. And it's my name, my face, my reputation, my brand. It's me on the line as a person. You know, it doesn't matter how many nice things I've done for how many people. You're only as good as your worst fuck up. And then people abandon you. So I have to make sure people get their stuff. It's priority number one for me. Before I did the sweatshirts, I talked to my assistant and I said, listen, you're going to bag all these up. You're going to put the size on them and you're going to ship them. And he was like, I got you, Chill. And I was like, good. Then I'll go downtown. I'll get because I don't just get any sweatshirt. I get the best sweatshirt you can buy. You're not going to get a sweatshirt from me and then it falls apart and it's threading and it's no, I go downtown and I shop around. I already did it. I already found the best sweatshirts, the best hoodies you can buy. And I purchased those. I pick them up tomorrow morning and then I'll get them printed. It'll take another probably 5-6 days or a week before they're printed. And then I'll start shipping about December 5th, December 6th or somewhere in there. So yeah, I'm super looking forward to it. I cannot wait. But you guys get your order in now. Whatever you order, I don't care. I'm going to give you the Fifth Amendment cop card. I mean, I want you to get this trifold because I'm going to give you the PDF version of it anyway. So once you get the indestructible one, this is super nice. Then you'll have the PDF in your computer. So if you ever lose it, or if you want to print some out for family for Christmas and put them in an envelope, you can tell them you got them a Christmas present, which it's a great Christmas present. And you should. You definitely should get them that Christmas present so that they have something to protect themselves from these jackboot thug pigs. And, you know, I'm not going to back down from it. I can't stand these pigs. I can't stand them. Anybody who signs up to those set of policies, procedures, and protocols is a barbaric, inhumane, brutal person. They're just the worst person. I couldn't imagine doing that to you. If someone said, hey, you have to take Sean M. I have to take Sean M. and I got to hold him down, put him in torture cuffs, listen to him cry, and then drag him off to a dungeon and say stupid shit like I have a right to go home safe to my family after I ruined Sean M.'s life. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't agree to those sets of policies, procedures, and protocols. I would not agree to it. I would openly protest and say, why can't I use a strap and just strap around his wrist and Velcro it? Why can't I do that? Because the torture cuff company is a multi-billion-dollar corporation. And they do the torture cuffs for all the different states in the union and abroad as well. And so that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Put a 1 in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Anybody who's a pig signs up to agree to do that to you. And I can't oblige. I cannot say that's a good person. They're not. They're bad people. They're bad people. And people say that, oh, I'm hateful. I'm this, I'm that. What are you talking about? I'm the one who was tortured. I'm the one who was abused. I was the one who was incarcerated. I've never hurt anybody. I've never actually hurt another person where it wasn't mutual combat. We had a fair fist fight, but I've never hurt another person. There's not a person bleeding on the ground from me. There's not a person who I stole all their money. It doesn't exist. I've created no victims. So I don't think that I should be put in torture cuffs ever. If you need me to go with you and you want to charge me with a crime, I'll go with you. You don't got to torture cuff me. But this brings me back always to your Fifth Amendment cop card. You should never, ever, ever give your identification if they ask for ID. You should always give them the Fifth Amendment cop card unless you've committed a crime. And then they have to give you a ticket. Give them the ID so they can give you a ticket so you don't go to the dungeon. All right, I'll give you 30 minutes from now. If you guys order anything in the next 30 minutes, I will honor my offer. I'm not doing it outside my live stream. I got so many emails today that I had to click and say, come during the live stream and request during the live stream. I get timestamps. Oh, thanks. So you say, thanks, man. Yeah, it's my uncle-in-law. He's just been in my family since I was 10. So, you know, it's going to hurt. I got to call my mom. So I got to get out 80. Edya. How do I say it? Edya? You can't order the hoodie yet. I'm not going to put it up until it's ready. And then I'll announce it all at one time. And then we'll get them out, you know. So anyway, all right, I'm going to get the flock out of here. You guys go to my website, order something. You got 30 minutes and I'll fulfill your order and I will give you a free Fifth Amendment cop card, driver and non-driver. So you actually get 2 cards, just so you know. You get 2 cards. You get 2 cards. Just like Miss Raines got 2 cards. Miss Raines got 2 cards in the mail. And you can ask her on the handwriting is my handwriting because I ship it now. No delay. I won't wait. I was so pissed off that my products were delayed. You have no idea. And so when I got really mad at people involved, I said, okay, how are we going to handle this? Because, you know, I don't want to yell and scream at people, you know, but when I'm really mad, I start to talk like this. All right. I'm going to get the flock out of here. Thanks you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. DUI guy, if you ever see this, dude, thank you. Appreciate you coming on the show, and I'll see you next one. See you later. Later, Gators. Later, Gators.